the regular meeting of May 7th. Please stand for a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This is a regular meeting of the board, so please refrain any comments until it is time for the public to speak. At this time, I would like to have a roll call, please.
Allen. Here. Broughton.
Here.
Darnall.
Here.
DePalma. Here. Cordella.
Here.
Marshall.
Here.
Thurman.
Here. Okay, at this time we need to approve our agenda. I brought an addition to our agenda regarding 301 Sleepy Hollow, and there's a question on whether or not we should add this to our agenda, so I would like to see it added, but we need to have support from all the board members.
Yeah, I think that we're going to have to approve our whole agenda. I think it's best if we let these people speak up front and let them speak their piece, knowing that there's nothing that we can rule on tonight, but we do want to hear from you. But then let's let them be on their way so we can deal with the regular business of the meeting. If we try to mix in comments about this and Bellan, it's going to be a mess.
So you would like to hear from Sleepy Hollow residents at the beginning of our meetings or
To
reports?
anyone that wants to discuss this particular issue, that's hear them up front before reporting, before anything.
I do know that some people out in the parking lot that are here for Bellan, and there's people out there for Sleepy Hollow. And I feel that maybe after who does speak for Sleepy Hollow, if somebody out there wants to speak, switch
Well, that's what they agree.
who's
That's what they
here
agree.
and stuff like that. I also think though that the Bellan people need to get a chance to speak too, because that's a hot topic. I understand the urgency of us having this meeting, but I also feel it's not fair that everybody can be here at the same time, just like when we had the Trails meeting. I did not want to continue because it's an open meeting, but then we can't have everybody at the open meeting.
My thought is, it was not part of the agenda. We can't make any ruling on it. If you guys want to give us your, obviously we know how you feel. We all feel the same way. At this point, there's nothing we can do about it. So yes, let's hear their piece, get on with our normal meeting, and let the Bellan people, that we have to make a vote on.
Well, I do have the suggestion that did you read this?
But what if we call a special meeting this week also we can do this, but then in a couple days have a special meeting to re-deal with it once more research has gotten done since that hasn't, we haven't gotten all the research.
In a perfect world, we could do that in 2 days, but that, I mean, if we're gonna get the PAC, we don't know when it's available, we don't.
It's a phone call.
So that would take some organization. I mean, next week we would have to
Right.
be able to do that.
Right. And then you can answer questions instead of just sitting here going,
So you can hear the people that are here.
Okay, well, let's have, I want to hear from everyone.
Hi. I think it's a very important issue, and I would like to add it to tonight's agenda, because we've never rearranged the agenda for any issue. We've gone through it as normal, and then hear from you guys, definitely, at the front of the meeting, after we've gotten through
To add
reports.
this item on.
Correct.
And we can add it to the beginning of the business.
Correct.
I personally would like to wait on it, and here's why. Please wait. I found out about this
today.
late last night, early this morning, because my power's been out. I didn't have any internet, so I was bombarded with emails from people, and I was, what is this about? I had no clue. So I did what research I could today about the home and about the residents of the home. But I would personally like to hear everybody, what everybody has to say tonight. They're here. So I'd like to hear what they have to say, but then put it on agenda for another meeting, even if it's a special one. But at least the people that are here, they came out here, and I want to hear what they have to say. And that'll give us some extra time, too, to actually do some research of our own. And I think there's some administrative research needs to be done, like through Stewart and other possibilities. So, and then we at least have an informed decision we can make. at least all these people will be able to have their say.
Did you read this motion?
I did.
And we can make that
You
motion
wanna-
until we can do more.
Right.
And it could be a temporary motion until if we find out more that we can do it.
Exactly, exactly. I think it would be a good idea to have another meeting at the PAC once we can bring more information. But I think just for tonight, in order to get it on the
Where's
agenda.
the DHC, what do we?
The Performing Arts Center at Brandon
At the
High School. And what's your comment?
And mine would be, I ditto what Mr. Robbins said. Plain and simple. I think that we ought to like bring it to the front and let people speak. And the people that said that they would leave after they gave their comments or stuff like that, then we can bring in anyone else that wants to speak about Sleepy Hollow. And then that'll be it. And then we can get on with, like Scott said, the regular business.
Okay. So my first question, are we going to put this on new business?
We can, however you want to do it,
If
but
it's-
I think that.
Do we have to put this on new business to allow these people to speak?
It has to go to new business to make a motion. You can't make a motion during discussion, right?
What motions can we make? Right. I was not here today.
I know, but it was emailed as well, and it was.
I wasn't
you
here
didn't get
either.
it. You didn't get it.
Right.
But it was out here for you.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, I read it,
But
but
that's,
I don't think that I have enough information to make an informed decision other than hearing what they have to say and then going back and figuring out what we can and can't do.
okay. Here's the question. If we put this as an item of new business, then they can speak under citizens' comments on agenda items because they'll be on agenda. Whether or not we make a decision, we can also postpone this, we can do no action, we can agree to do it or disagree to do it. But it would be on the agenda. We can also move our citizens' comments up before reports if we would like to do that.
I would rather do that.
But I still need to know about this.
I say move citizen comments up, and I say put it on new business. Let us see if we can make a motion or not, to get it started at least, and then we can move forward.
Yeah, I would say put it on the agenda, let people have their say about it, and then we can just table it.
And we'll put it on at the beginning of new business. Okay, we'll put this, all right, we're gonna add on the agenda, 301 Sleepy Hollow as the first item of new business. And we're gonna move our citizens' comments up before our reports. So we're gonna take the citizens' comments first. Okay. Any other alterations to our agenda tonight? Who would like to make a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Okay. we got you.
I'll support it.
All right, I have a motion by trustee Marshall, and it is seconded by clerk Allen. To approve the agenda as amended. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. The agenda as amended has been approved unanimously. So before reports, we're going to do citizens' comments.
And Supervisor, if I may, just because I think this is so important, everybody that speaks, could you please clearly state your name, and if you could, I'm not sure if it's possible in the back. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking to you, I'm sorry. I was talking to you. And if it was possible for the audience who wants to speak, I'm sorry, I forget these things. If we get an email address for them also somehow, so we can be in
I don't
contact.
think we can legally ask for
We don't have to legally ask for them, just if we could suggest they give us an email address so we can be in
Or they can
contact.
just.
Or they can email us if they want to.
Yeah, okay, all right, sure. All right, all
The
right.
tires are out there.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
This is on TV, it's gonna be on YouTube, it's gonna be on.
No, I'm not talking about in public, I'm talking about privately.
And I'm not sure where this camera is.
Channel 4.
Channel 4 and
Tim Pamplin, Book of War.
Okay.
So anyway, if you
Okay,
can
so-
reaffirm that
You really need to speak up so people in the back can hear.
Yes, that's
And
what
if-
I was gonna say.
And the second thing is if somebody's speaking, they really need to not have a lot of other conversation because the microphones all the way around are picking up it all over the place.
Okay.
So if we can be heard, I appreciate that.
All right, so just to be clear for everyone, are going to do citizens' comments on agenda items. Sleepy Hollow is now on the agenda, so if you're here to speak about Sleepy Hollow, it is on the agenda. When you make your comment, we're going to ask you to step up to the podium and state your names. The comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. First, before we start with comments, I had spoken to Jake, and Jake and, who was the other person? Matt. Okay. Jake and Matt are going to speak first regarding Sleepy Hollow, so that if they encapsulate what you wanted to say and you don't feel like repeating it, you won't have to come up and express your opinion. Also, we have the clipboards that are out there, so if you would rather make your opinion in writing, you won't have to come up here, but everyone is welcome to come up and speak if they so choose.
Becky, how are we going to find out from the clipboard?
We're going to make copies and give them to you.
Shouldn't we have that kind of, if there's anything different on that before we make a
They're
motion?
still making.
Okay.
Okay, so at this time, we will take public comment. And we'll start with Matt first.
Hi, my name is Matthew Eckert. I live on Saddle Lane, and actually I'm on the corner of Saddle Lane and Sleepy Hollow. First, I'd like to thank all the board members for putting this on the agenda. We truly appreciate it. And I'm here to ask for your help and your support in undoing what we think is a dangerous situation for our families. For those in the community that came, thank you for your support. And if you're not aware of what's happening, there's a group home going in at 301 Sleepy Hollow, and it's not a kind of an inert group home. It's really a group home that is housing people that have been paroled from prison, and these are all folks that were criminal sex offenders.
Matt, may I interrupt you?
Yes,
When you make your comment, please address the board.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yes, yeah, not a problem. So what I wanted to do is kind of lay out some facts so that the community understands the folks that are moving in there. There are 2 residents in there currently. There's potential for up to 6 of these folks moving in there. And my understanding is that once a certain type of person is in a group home, that they stick to those folks, right? First resident is a paroled sex offender. His parole began on the 25th of April 2018. He's 52 years old. He's a Tier 3 sex offender, which is the most serious sex offender. It looks like this person has been in and out of incarceration since 1987 with multiple charges, again being criminal sexual conduct in the 2nd degree, having sexual contact with a minor under the age of 13, breaking and entering a building with intent, and also for escaping prison. And in addition, assault with dangerous weapons. There are additional court cases where this person name can be found, possession of drug paraphernalia, and there are like several or 34 plus supervision conditions for these folks that are living in this house, in particular this gentleman. The second was just paroled on May 1st. He's 52 years old. He was housed in a level 4 security prison before being released into our neighborhood and started living here within the last week. So let's see here. He was a Tier 2 sex offender. He'd been in and out of incarceration since 1985. Failed to register as a sex offender, criminal sexual conduct second degree with accomplices, malicious destruction of fire or police property, robbery unarmed, breaking and entering, a building with intent. And this gentleman also has 32 conditions of supervision, including not being around children or with anybody that has young children. As far as the business owner goes, yeah, that's fine. The business owner goes, he was arraigned in front of a 71A district court on charges of felonious assault on a police officer, felony arms, and having an expired concealed weapons permit. So these are the folks that are moving into our neighborhood. We're seriously opposed to that. I know I'm down and I don't have additional time, but I have a list also of 5 violations. This gentleman that owns this business, he has several locations, and we have numerous violations that we found from his locations, and we're very concerned about that as well.
Okay, thank you.
And I will provide this to anybody that wants it. Thank you.
First of all, thank you. Obviously, we have a lot of support here from the community. My name is Jake Menino, and I also reside at Sleepy Hollow, the neighborhood that Matt referenced. It is not your normal neighborhood. It's a very small, private neighborhood. There's 5 houses on this neighborhood.
Your address?
300 Sleepy Hollow.
Thank you.
But that's whatever. If you drive by, you'll see what I'm talking about, because my house is here, and I have 3 young daughters who are afraid to go outside because directly in front of me are 2 paroled felon sex offenders in that yard. I got pictures of them. They're out all day smoking cigarettes and looking at me and looking at my kids in my house. My kids will not go outside and play. That is not how I want to raise my family in this community. And I am seriously, seriously upset by it. The fact that I had to build a small garden shed on my property, I had to pull a permit, get a variance, notify all my neighbors, and come down here for a public hearing just to build a shed. Meanwhile, somebody slips in a commercial business to house 6 convicted felon sex offenders directly across from me, and nobody notifies me. If it wasn't for the concerned neighbors going to the township wondering what the heck is going on, he would have just went right ahead. He added 2 bedrooms to the house, 6 bedrooms, okay? And we kept coming to the township. And what did the township say? Nothing we can do about it. It's a state thing. Really? I'll tell you right now, Michigan Zoning Enabling Act, Section 206, states that adult foster care, subsection license for residential foster care facilities does not apply to persons released from correctional institutions. Plain and simple. Secondly, the Brandon Charter, Section 46-1114, proposed use will not be detrimental, hazardous, or disturbing to the existing or future neighbors' uses, persons, property, or public welfare. Tell me, how does that align to this charter? Please, tell me, okay? The gentleman, I won't say gentleman, the person who owns this house lied to us, all of our neighbors, to our face, and told us, to our face, these were going to be special needs, autistic people. 6 men living in this house. We point blank asked him, will there be felons? Will there be sex offenders? He said no. And then, if we didn't go to the sex registry to look it up, we wouldn't even know. On Friday, I watched them walk the second sex offender into that house on my front porch. And I will provide you pictures of that. There is no security in this house. This gentleman here communicated that your power was out. The power was out on Friday. The police were called. These individuals could walk out anytime. Anytime. And I will tell you right now, I'm going to move. And I think everybody else here probably will too, if we can't put an immediate stop to this. We don't have time to put this on the agenda for next week. I haven't slept all week. My kids haven't slept all week. We are crying, and it is very, very important that you address this immediately. We communicated to this individual that our property values have now just plummeted. You know what he said to us? That's fine. When it gets low enough, I'll come in and buy you all out and put all group on here. This is a 5-house street neighborhood where I intended to raise my family. And if Brandon Township does not do something about this immediately, then we're gone. We're out of there. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I got much more facts. I got tons more information. If I have 3 minutes, I'm going to need 3 hours of your time. Thank you. Oh, man, I would demand an emergency zoning enacted immediately, and these people thrown out of that house tonight, and a 6-month moratorium in place for all new group homes in this community, so we can get a handle on this and look at what the codes are and make sure nobody is able to sneak this in on us again, because our lives are in danger. Thank you.
Okay, who would like to speak next?
Jay covered a lot of stuff. My name is Brad Bacher. I live 1 street west of where this is going on, so I'll kind of cover some of the things I've written down here. But I reside on Meadow Lake Lane with my wife and children. We are appalled at Halfway House operating under the guise of legitimate group home is allowed to exist in a residential setting. This can't go on. It's operating feet from where kids congregate. I'm terrified to have my kid be outside. That's not okay. And everyone in this room has worked very hard to do where they are in this township. I mean, this is, it's not cheap, as you all know. We're paying tax dollars to be protected and to live in a safe area, and that's not the case now. I mean, when we found out this was going in, my wife and I were terrified to have our 4-year-old ride our Power Wheel. I mean, and I'm trying not to get super angry here, but that's not acceptable. It's not acceptable that Jake's daughters are locked in their house. And another thing I didn't have on here is I work in public safety, and I've seen the damage these individuals do firsthand. I'm one of the guys that shows up when a rape happens. I'm one of the guys that shows up when someone's molested. I take them to the hospital. I'm a paramedic fireman. You know, some people don't understand how horrible this is. I don't understand you might be a retired police officer. You know, and this can't operate here. This is not something that can be in a residential area. The Iron Bell Trail, discussed for a year. You know, this goes in overnight. I find out because my wonderful neighbor rides her horse over and tells us about it. I mean, that's like getting punched in the stomach. So, if I can only have 1 horse on my property, how can I have 6 sex offenders who are the most dangerous and vile human beings on the planet in one house because of some oversight? And it might not even be legal. So, and I agree with Jake. This needs to be addressed today. Today. You wait a week, and something happens, anyone that didn't help is responsible. Because this is something that you can't just pass on. Even in prison, and I don't know how many people know this, sex offenders are kept separate from general population prisoners because they will kill them. They hate them. Everybody hates sex offenders. Everybody hates rapists. It doesn't matter if you're a Trump supporter, it doesn't matter if you're a Clinton supporter. Everybody hates them. So this needs to be resolved now. So when I've talked to Kathy and it's pushed on to the state, it's not okay. Other communities have ordinances where they say 1 sex offender per residence, and that prevents an individual like this guy from coming in and doing this. And I've deviated from this, so it doesn't matter. This needs to stop. And if something happens to one of these kids or one of our wives who's running down the trail, it's not okay. And we're not going to go away until you guys do something. So it doesn't matter if you push it off or push it off. We're going to continue to gain steam, and it's going to get worse and worse until you guys do something. So that's all I got.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Menino. I also live at, on Sleepy Hollow, directly across the street from the criminal sex offenders. I have so much that I want to say, but again, there's so much little time, and some things have already been talked about, such as the security now that we live under. We have ADT come out, we have locks on every window and every door, we have a panic button in the bathroom.
Can you speak up?
Yeah, I'm trying, sorry. We have a lot of security in that house right now. I have children, 3 little girls that both play outside. I'm not going to talk about them. I'm actually going to go to my professional side, which is a licensed professional counselor in the state of Michigan. And I've worked in juvenile correctional facilities. And I've worked with people who have committed these crimes on other people. I work with adults that have committed these crimes. And I want to talk to you about recidivism rates of people that are sex offenders. That's repeating the offense is very high, the highest among any other criminals to repeat these types of offenses, especially with people who rape children. And these are the type of people that are in this house. They're tier 2 and tier 3 sex offenders. Also, I'm very familiar with transition periods from lockdown to insecure, unsecure, unlockdown facilities. Transition times are very, very dangerous for the criminals and for people that live around them when they come from lockdown to insecure. And I'm sure our police officers would probably agree to that too, because they've gone from lockdown, no freedom, to ultimate freedom. There is a picket fence around this house at 301 Sleepy Hollow. We've been told there is no security on the house other than a delayed exit system that delays anyone exiting the house for 15 seconds. They will have one caretaker, $12 an hour caretaker that just needs a high school diploma to guard 2 sex offenders. So they will be outnumbered, especially once there's 6 in there and there's only 3 caretakers. Tell me how I can feel more secure in my home other than having ADT come out and create a prison for my family and my children, while these guys are out in this house, in our community, free to do whatever they want in this beautiful $400,000 home, which, by the way, us taxpayers are paying for. That's all I have to say.
Hi, my name is Michael. I got a call about 5 o'clock. Say that again?
Last name?
Dubay. I got a phone call about 5 o'clock from a neighbor telling me about this. Couldn't believe it. Couldn't get ready fast enough to be here. As Jake had mentioned about home values, I'll tell you very specifically. In 1990, we built our home here. So we've been here a while. But I'll tell you, if I was building my home today and came into the township offices inquiring about the community and asked that question, what can you tell me? Either I'm doing a business or I'm doing my home. I would have to believe one of the things you would say was Brandon Township was one of the top 10 safest communities in the state of Michigan last year. And one of only 5 that had the same designation a year ago. We have 43,000 sex offenders in this state, and it grows by about 2,000 every year. Now, when it comes to sex offenders, and I got some data maybe 10 years ago that was very specific that when you're in a community with sex offenders or someone in your local subdivision or next door neighbor, your house value decreases by about 12%. So someone that has a house for $235,000, that decrease or loss in money in your pocketbook is about $28,000 plus because of that. So for us to look at this one other issue, these 43,000, these taxpayers right here pay about $1.5 million per year just to maintain a sex offender database. Now I'm not talking about the uglies, because my kids are young adults. I have grandkids and neighbors. And I get infuriated at the thought, just thinking about the possibility of people looking at this. And you know there's a monetary incentive by the state. So if they were looking at doing something for handicapped folks, we are all over that. I'm on a church council that we tried to develop a home in another city, another community for Sanctum House, housing human traffickers, the young ladies that were kidnapped into business. The community was up in arms, not around here. And we didn't. Because even in that case, where we were looking at a facility protecting individuals, the concern was, what about the bad guys coming to get those individuals back under their arm? So the community was up in arms. I'm going to tell you, this community is up in arms. So my purpose here this can't happen. This can't happen. So my emotion is based on anger. Thanks.
Hi, my name's Dave Burley, been with my wife Diane, I'm Sleepy Hollow for 19 years now. Got a couple of questions out of the gate that are so common sense, I can't believe anybody went past this. First of all, there's a 1,000-foot rule from schools, a 1,000-foot rule, or maybe a 500-foot rule from bus stops for this. But these guys got little kids that go to those schools, and it's okay for them to live 50 feet across the street. What does anybody think? When we leave here, is there any decision in anybody's mind up there about whether this should stay here or not? We need to go. Sorry. I don't know if anybody's on that side, but and now I go on business trips like everybody else does, so do these guys. So now what do we do? Go in and tell our bosses, well, you can't leave the house because I got a rapist living on my street. I mean, some of these things, I'll try to stay less than like 3 minutes, but don't get me wound up. I'm already kind of wound up, in case you can't tell. I've mimicked everything these guys said. Also with the charter, another statement in there, nothing detrimental to the economic welfare of the community. So you're planning on throwing the charter out, you're planning on revising it, or you're actually going to do something about it? Because those are your own statements and words you're supposed to be living by. This guy is a candy-coated scumbag that bought this house. I mean, he sat there and lied to all of us right to our face in a meeting. We had a meeting. Tracy invited him into her home to have a meeting, and you already know what he said about them. Autistic children or adults, which we had no problem with. This is a glorified jail cell you're about to go up. These guys are living in Camp Cupcake while the rest of us hide in our house. That's BS. This has got to go big time. And this guy's end game, I kind of got the impression the other day when we were talking in that meeting, he said, okay, I'll buy your houses up, like that was mentioned before. So what's he going to do? Buy our houses up for half price and then sell this place, or pick those guys out, put them in another one of his facilities, let the value go back up, and then he makes double the money? I think people better start paying real close attention around here.
Thank you.
I'm Ella Medina. I'm the person living across from office. So, I'm Ella Medina. I'm 15 years old. I attend high school. As you can see, I just came back from a game, but I can't go home because of this. I cannot go home, and I cannot stay alone in my own house because of what's across the street. It's terrifying. I can't go outside. I have to have my windows covered at all times because I'm terrified of who's living across the street. I can't walk my dog. I can't, on a hot day, I cannot turn on the sprinkler and put on my bathing suit with my 2 little sisters and run around. This experience has been the worst of my entire life, and I want it to stop because I'm living it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ella, for being so strong. My name is Sharon Schmaltz. I've been living in this community for almost 13 years. I came from Bloomfield. When I came from Bloomfield, the taxes were lower, the school system was better, but there weren't many pedophiles. Okay? There were a lot of them in Bloomfield. I grew up in Ferndale. I grew up with Mark Stebbins, Oakland County child killers. He was one of them. He was a good friend of mine. He lived 2 blocks away from me. It has tormented me my entire life. I'm 55 now. And why I said 911 before you started this meeting, this is 911. These people do not have to wait for those people to be removed. It's against the law for them to be there. They need to be removed tonight. You're an Oakland County Sheriff. You know it's against the law for them to be there. Move them. End of story. Move them. I am so and I am up here speaking for Mark Stebbins. Okay? So look him up if you don't know about him. Because pedophiles, what I do know is that they have to like. Just like she said, she's been in it. I studied it because I had to be afraid. I then didn't go anywhere by myself. I had to be driven everywhere all my life. My kids are, I made them afraid to go out and do things because of this horrifying experience. Okay? So, the next thing I want to know is why did this happen? We have rules in place that you guys are accountable for. And I'm really angry at every one of you. I'm sorry. I'm pissed. Okay. To the community. If we cannot protect, our representatives cannot protect us, we can't ask the Oakland County Sheriffs to be there. It's the only thing I can come up with. I got a call or an email, a text, while I was getting on a plane this morning from New York to come home, telling me about this. I was enraged. I got another email from another neighbor of mine when I got off the plane. I then spoke with a neighbor of mine who my property backs up to. Her name is Babe. She lives off Sashaba. I live off Poli, which is off of Sashaba. She had one of these adult foster care homes for 18 years in Ortondale. You're not allowed to put convicted felons in them. She was up here this morning talking to you about that. So why did it happen? And why can't they be removed right now? Right now. Sure. It's unacceptable, okay? So, really that's about all I have to say. The only other thing I can think of the community to do right now, if they're not going to remove them, the police aren't going to remove them, is let's create a list and we can do 2-hour shifts and we can have concealed and open carry people protecting these people. And we will watch every move these people make. I will sign up. I'm not a gun person, but you bet my ass I'll be there. Yeah. And I'll do my 2-hour shift as like a man there with me. I will do my 2-hour shift and I will, believe me, I will take care of them because I've been afraid all my life and I am a fighter. So I will open carry. I am going to get a concealed carry now. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Schechter. I live at 3650 Ranger Road, which is very relevant to this. I learned about it first about 36 hours ago. I have a long, narrow parcel, 11 acres long. Their east side is immediately against my west side. There's 0 sense in the way of a barrier. I walk back there daily along a little pathway. When my sister's families were there, grandchildren, they live back there. Not that I spent my whole life up there. I was out there yesterday watching 2 gentlemen. I assume they're them. I didn't walk up closely, walking back and forth through the backyard. If they suddenly decide we don't like being in this home, I mean, the picket fence is a nice barrier in the front. They're going to go out through the woods. The 10 seconds they're in my woods, they're gone. I mean, it's, I can get lost back there. I like it a lot. I've been here a long time. But I'm absolutely stunned. I don't have words of outrage to explain how upset I am. Yesterday I drove down your side. I know it says private only. I took pictures of the front of the house, and I took pictures from the back, showing my property line. And literally, my path is here. It's right there. It's real obvious. The last 2-3 weeks, I was watching work going on, not knowing what's going on, seeing a new septic field go in, seeing all kinds of things going on. And my first neighbor told me they were sex offenders. I kind of like, wonder where he got that from. Then when I logged on to the state site, I'm just totally stunned. And I'll do everything in my legal power to try to change this. To me, it's just a dangerous situation, setting up a hugely bad trend. And I also question, I'm not sure how long the owner's been there. I question many things about the owner, but due to other things, that same owner back in December, there's another story I had contact with him. If it was a different owner, it's irrelevant. But I'll get back to the supervisor on that. Was it the same owner in December?
No, it's the same owner.
It's the same one. They bought it in November.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll add it on. December 22nd, I called the Michigan DNR because I found a blood trail in my backyard. They came out very fresh. I followed it first. They followed the blood trail 2301. They had 2 builders working there at the time. They had cut a shooting platform to the kids' tree house. I was shooting deer on my property. The DNR officer made contact. I never met the 2 he talked to. There's 2 builders there. They told the DNR officer, and this can be documented through the Michigan DNR, that the builder gave them permission to hunt that property. All I know from the DNR at this point is they said it's going to the prosecutor. They went back the next morning, they confiscated a deer, and that's the last I've heard. I've not heard anything new from the officer. I did send him a note last night, a text message. But to me, I mean, there's no way the owner did not know the property line. They cut theirs like very manicured, mine is brushy and wild with turkeys and strawberries and things. So, and then suddenly when this all happened, I'm thinking these are the same things. Obviously, it's the 2 builders are not the same 2 people, but it makes me even more angry. It's the same owner because, he lied to the conservation officer. I'll supply contact information on that. Anyway, this has to change. It has to stop. And thank you for your time.
My name is Sylvia Pearsall. I'm 12 years old and I'm the granddaughter of Michael and Lisa Lawrence. They live in the same cul-de-sac and I live in the city of Lapeer. I'm basically downtown. I have basically no freedom in downtown. I have to be watched everywhere I go. The country was my freedom. I could do whatever I wanted without being watched every inch. But now I can't go outside and play without somebody standing on the porch watching me. How long would it take for the police to get there if something were to happen to me? I wonder.
My name is Tracy Moreland, and I'm also on the city council. And I know you guys have a copy of the violation sheet, but I think it's important that the community understand also the village and management style. There are several violations, and you can read for hours on the violations on all of these other locations. We picked 5 to discuss. The first one is August 28, 2017. Flat Rock Manor of Flint was issued a violation for staff stealing resident medication. At that time, medication counts weren't performed at the facility. This is wrong, right? They're not following the law. October 4th, 2017. Flat Rock Manor of Burton East was issued a violation due to 3 residents being admitted to the hospital multiple times for ingesting batteries and other items such as razor heads and body pins. Guardian removed the resident from the home. They don't want their people there. I mean, this is just the management style. It's not good. It's not working though. May 16th, Flat Rock Manor of Burton East was issued a violation due to 3 staff members physically mistreating a resident, causing bruising on the resident's neck and shoulder and a scratch on the face that caused bleeding. This next one, I apologize. It's not good, but I feel that people need to know. We need to hear it. May 16, 2017. Flat Rock Manor of Burton East was issued a violation due to allowing a resident to have sex with another resident without approval from her guardian. Staff member was present while the residents were engaging in sexual intercourse. Obviously, the guardian removed that resident, right? They don't want their people there. May 31st, 2017. Flat Rock Manor of Clinton was issued a violation due to a resident breaking a razor in half, swallowed half, and placed the other half in her rectum. This occurred while having one-on-one supervision. So these violations are still happening.
need to understand how negligent the management is.
I'm Keith Roadcourt. I no longer reside on Sleepy Hollow. I sold 301. I was lied to just like all the neighbors were. I was told it was a young couple with a 5-year-old girl. They presented themselves that way. There's no mention of group home. I did find out later on that the man owned the group home, but I had no idea that he was going to put it in on Sleepy Hollow. I would have sold to somebody like that. I'm a retired police officer. I put people like that in jail. I never would have sold them. The township needs to do something to get rid of them. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to make a comment? I would.
I'm Lisa Padano and I live at 326 Sleepy Hollow. I want to talk about the security issue. And I don't want to scare you anymore, but something that no one has mentioned is that at least 2, and I believe 3, 2 of the bedrooms in this house have windows overlooking the place where these little girls play.
That is true.
Overlooking the entire neighborhood because they're kind of on a hill, and they can see absolutely everything that goes on in the neighborhood. They can see when we come and go. They can see if, God forbid, I left my garage door open. They can see every single day. We leave for work because we're working people, because we have to go to work to be able to pay to live where we live. Apparently, that's not the case with everyone, because our taxpayer dollars are paying for these people to live there. And another point that no one has made, we were here last year for all the trail meetings and all the concerns that everyone had about security. What kind of people are going to be up and down these trails? These people have a very private, wooded access to those trails, just a couple hundred feet away. And now that that has not become a trail, it's not being patrolled by the Oakland County Sheriff's Department, is my understanding. So it is unpatrolled, and once they get to that trail, they have access to every single resident in Brandon Township and more. That trail goes for miles and miles. And apparently no one is concerned about our security, but they are concerned that apparently these sex offenders have more rights than the little girls and the little boys that live on that street and live in the community. And that is not right. We cannot keep trying to sleep in our own homes, and we can't. We can't keep doing that if you guys are going to wait a week, 2 weeks, however long it takes to get something done. These people need to be out. It is absolutely unacceptable. We did not move to Brandon Township 20 years ago to be able to have to deal with this stuff. It's outrageous. And I don't understand why apparently the township was not notified, the police department was not notified that they were moving these people in. These are dangerous people, and we're terrified. And that is outrageous.
My name is Lynn Beltowski, and I live at 1385 Burris. And we have about a half a mile along the trail directly behind that street. And when my husband and I go out there walking, we find deer from poachers. I do not want to find a child on my property.
My name is Heidi Zisk, and this is my first board meeting, and I'm atrocious. by what I'm having to see you witness today. I feel very powerful on this subject because I witnessed it personally, and I do not want this for any child, even though I live on Sashava. I'm very close to it. I don't live on your street, and I wouldn't want anyone living on the street of where this is. So it needs to be taken care of now. It needs to be out now. They need to be gone.
My name is Emily Roda. I'm here to speak against what everybody else is saying. My brother is currently in prison for something along the lines of what the men are in the home for. He is a sex offender. I want to say thank you guys for allowing me to talk. And I only hope that my brother gets the same opportunity that these men are getting at a second chance at life. And I believe everybody makes mistakes. Obviously some are worse than others. But I believe everybody has the same right to make their life right. It is a locked facility with staff. And I understand that unknown. I understand that the unknown is very scary. But I ask that you guys give this home a chance because I hope that my brother will have the same kind of situation when he gets out.
I know I already spoke. I know this is my last thing I'm saying.
Wait.
I gotta say one last thing.
I'm sorry.
This is for my family. I'm sorry. I want to read an email right now from Captain Sherman to my attorney. I spoke to Mr. Burnett. I'm sorry. My apologies. I don't know.
Hi guys, I'm Angel, I'm Baker. I wanted to talk about the facility a little bit. And the statistics that everyone here hasn't went online and looked at. Within 2 miles of that home, there are 28 sex offenders out in the public, driving around, walking around, doing whatever they want. Within 5 miles of that facility, there are 55 sex offenders doing whatever they want. This facility is a locked facility. There are alarms on the doors and windows. There are codes to get in and out of this facility.
Where's her address? I don't know where she's.
We don't.
Sure, Angel Baker.
You live in Ortonville?
No, I don't live in Ortonville.
You said your name was Joe Baker.
Angel.
Angel.
A-N-G-E-L. B-A-K-E-L.
You have 4 minutes.
Sure. And I just wanted to make everyone known that these folks have trained staff with them 24 hours a day. This is not the other sex offenders that live in your guys' city.
Angel, you're addressing the board.
I'm sorry, the other sex offenders that live in your guys' city, those are the ones that need to be watched. We have trained staff that have been over and over and over trained for this facility.
They're under a lot. They're under a lot.
Please be quiet.
Thank you, that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you. Hi, my name is Sheila Acker. I live next door. 301. It's outrageous what she said. The residents, there's 5 children on that street. Well, one of them is staring right into the window of this home. There's no shades on the windows. They can see everything that's going on. That's not right. And you guys don't do your job. Thank you.
Hello, Melanie Nivell. I'm actually here for Bel Ann, but there's 50 people out in the parking lot, and they asked me just to get their questions on record. So I'm just going to say what the questions are. They wanted to know how many were in the facility. I'm thinking 6, but I know you can't answer. They want to know if they're tethered or on probation. Are they from Oakland County Jail, or where are they from? Is the owner running the home, or is it a lease? And then I just found out it was Flat Rock Manor. They wanted to also know, can you pass an ordinance to move it? That's their question, not mine. Is it limited to 6 people? And it sounds to all of us, actually, it sounds more like a halfway house other than a group home. And there are different rules for both of those, so we hope that you are researching and looking into that. And the last question is the ratio of trained staff watching the felons. What is the ratio?
1 to 2.
Thank you. That's it. Thank you.
Melanie, did you also want to speak to Diane?
I was told I have to come back.
Later. Let's do that later.
Yeah, that's what they're telling us.
I just have one comment. My name is Sophia Pierce-Paul, and I'm in support of all at Sleepy Hollow. And I'd like to say that I feel and I know that one mistake is not multiple mistakes. Those of us who make one mistake learn from our mistakes. These people have proven over and over they have not learned from their mistakes in their 50s. Think about that. We got to put our children first. Not 50, not even 30, 40s or 50 or 60-year-old men who's had their chances to learn from those mistakes. And I hope I'm heard. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bill Harvey. I live on Meadow Lake Lane, right across the lake from this group home. Really, the question boils down to, are we going to try to do something proactively, or are we going to be even more reactive than we have been? I have two 12-year-old kids, and as a father, I will do whatever is necessary to protect those kids. So if an incident comes up with my kids and those people, or any other kids, then you'll probably be taking me to jail when you could have got rid of them in the first place.
Sure.
John Presley, 1506 Burris. I'm a 5-minute walk from that place. I moved out here 23 years ago to raise my family, leave my doors unlocked, leave my keys in my car. Those days are gone. And as for the security of the place, me and my neighbor were there last night. I knocked on the door. I had 2 felons on the porch talking to them. How secure is this place? My first question to the council is there a license? Were you issued a license for that facility? Did they give you a license for that facility to occupy that home?
This is not a time to ask questions, but we will answer later, but no.
Then remove them.
We don't listen.
You got deputies in town, I'm 5-minute walk away. They break tether, they're gonna be at my house before the deputy is even out of the substation, and that's sad. Because now, the community has to police themselves again.
Hi, I'm Cameron Morley, and I share a house with them. We live at 327 Sleepy Hollow, which is right next door. We share a fence with them, and one of the guys has broken out of jail, and I don't know if that house is already built, because it is one. But I'm sure they can escape. They have 15 seconds. I'm sure they'll be able to run. And I've climbed over that fence several times. I'm sure they'll be able to do it. And they can run for miles. It's all woods out there, so.
My name is Tina Ayala, and I don't live currently near Sleepy Hollow. I live by Bel Ann. I'm not here for Bel Ann. It doesn't matter that I don't live near there. As a 42-year survivor, I make it a point to come out for survivors and for current victims that you don't even know about. Had I known about this sooner, I could have gotten you quite a few more statistics. But do you know what the rearrest rate is for sex offenders compared to other offenders? Take a guess. Just throw out a number. 4 times more likely to be rearrested for the same crime than a bank robber that can't own a gun or vote. They can't vote, they can't own guns, but they can watch free lunch pass by on the from the bus every day, all day. The Bureau of Justice Statistics followed 405,000 inmates that were released over 30 states in 2005. In 3 years, 68% were rearrested. In 5 years, 77% were rearrested. Now, everybody has civil rights. I understand that. But when you have a group of alcoholics, do you want them housed with 5 other alcoholics to recover? Or do you think that they would recover better? 1 per household. I understand that you can't limit where they live. They're protected, I get that. But do we want 5 tigers in our backyard? Or maybe we ought to limit the 1 jungle animal. Maybe just 1 jungle animal per household. 5, 6, 2 is too many. You got a club. You don't have a group home. You have a sex offenders club. I live at 2105 Range Road. About a mile from there. I am also a Brandon school bus driver, and I drive these children. I drive my school bus up in front of that home every day now. Something needs to be done. I live home by myself. I've got my dogs, but I'm going to get a gun license because I feel like I have to protect myself. Thank you.
My name is Lily. I'm 13 years old. What is your last name? Harvey. I live on Meadow Lake Lane. I can see the house from my backyard, and they can see me, and I'm scared to go outside because I'm afraid something's going to happen. I'm scared to go outside and play with my cousins, the same places I've been playing with them for 13 years. And I think something needs to be done because I feel like my family needs to be protected and my friends need to be protected, and I'm scared to have friends over to my house. And I want to go outside and I want to play with my cousins and my friends. And I'm just scared to go outside.
My address is 1150 Meadow Lake Lane. Philly's my sweet niece. And we have 10 children under the age of 13 on our street who all overlook that house. Actually, that house overlooks us. Every time we walk, we see that house looking over at us. It's not nearly as close to its family, but it's affecting so many families. How? It's absurd that this can happen. I mean, you have this dream. You go to college, you work really hard to get to this place where you really want in life, where you feel safe, you have good neighbors, and you have a great community. And then this happens, and we can't even put the kids out on the trampoline without sitting there watching them. They can't walk to my sister's house. It's the next house down at the end of the road. I can't see her house because there's trees everywhere. I can't let my sister's kids walk over here. We have to stand at the end of our driveways and watch our kids walk. It's gotta stop. It's gotta stop.
My name is Nathan Nicolopoulos. I apologize, I'm a little emotional. My heart breaks for these kids. Absolutely breaks for them. But you know what? I'm on 1500 First Road. My kids are locked in the house right now. I have 3 kids. 2 3-minute walk tops to that house. How is this acceptable? It's a business in a residential area. How is nobody aware of this? I called Mr. Outlaw's office after work today. He wasn't aware of it. The high school principal wasn't aware of it. When I got up this morning, had breakfast with my daughter. I says, wait here, sweetheart. I went over and logged on to the sex offender's website, pulled these 2 dirt bags up. I says, come here, sweetheart, I need to talk to you. She come around the corner. look at the pictures and go, I already know about it, Dad. Me and my friends are already talking about it. She's 12 years old. How do I have that conversation with? Why should I have to have a conversation like that with my 12-year-old daughter? It's not fair. And for God's sakes, these guys live right across the street. And I don't know who said it, but I'm absolutely 100% on board for a neighborhood watch. Thank you.
Sit down.
My name is Megan O'Leary. The Road Corps that sold the home in November, basically my in-laws. I'm a licensed social worker. I work with individuals with developmental disabilities and special needs. Seeing some of the homes that these people live in, and then knowing that this beautiful $400,000 home is being funded for sex offenders that live in these homes eats me up. And I feel like money is being put for people's safety. And my heart breaks for the people that live on the street, and my heart breaks for the Road Corps because that was their dream home. And you know, they were under the impression there's a playhouse in the backyard. This was going to go to a family with a young daughter, and the fact that, you know, the people who live on the street are going through this, but also the Road Corps are devastated. And it just, I just support everyone, and that's all.
Anyone else that wanted to speak?
My name is Steve Mancini. You've already heard from my niece Lily and my wife Libby. I live on Meadow Lake Lane, which is just west of the home that we're talking about. I appreciate you listening. I wasn't really prepared to speak, but after hearing everyone, I just want to voice my opposition just like everyone else has. I apologize if I'm repeating some points. I was outside and I didn't catch everything. On our street, as my wife said earlier, there's 8 children. The oldest is my 13-year-old daughter, Amanda. My son is 11 years old, and all the rest of them are younger than that. I just can't believe that this goes on. I understand that you guys may not have the power to do anything right now. Maybe the state law is one thing. I have to do my homework on that. But just the fact that this is allowed to happen, I'm pleading with you to draft a resolution to prevent this from happening. I've listened and read it in the local paper, about the opposition to neighbors being allowed to have livestock, for God's sake. We're talking about possibly 6 sex offenders. With all due respect to Ms. Baker, I don't want to trust my children's well-being to her word that it's secure. That's not good enough for me. I just really don't. I just want to thank you for that and just voice my opposition to this. One of the points that was already hit was the trail that didn't go through was a security issue. There's no sidewalks where we live. There's a couple of easements, and it's very wooded. I don't know about if these people are able to come and go up to the store. I don't want them wandering around my neighborhood. I don't want to have to change my life because they're there. I feel like I shouldn't have to do that. I've been here 13 years. We shouldn't have to change my behavior for them. I don't own a handgun. I don't want to have to own a handgun. That's another issue for another time. But the fact that this has all gone on and no one seems to know about it. Up until Thursday, suddenly they're moving in. It just seems very, like everything was done behind the board. I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but I just can't. I'm just voicing my opposition to this. I'm just beside myself that this could go on. What's going to happen to our property values? I don't live next door. I'm one street over. But I wouldn't, even if it's secure, I'm not electing to move next to a prison. I wouldn't elect to move next to a group home. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Pam Colin, Saddle Lane. I live just down the hill from this home. And I just want to say that I hope as our elected officials that you really think about this and do something for us. I really would hate to see you move to the next item on the agenda tonight, Bell Ann, and start discussing that and forget about Saddle Lane and Sleepy Hollow. I know there's other things, but this is urgent. This is life-changing. It has changed the way I live my life. I look out my window all the time. I watch every car that goes by. I'm afraid. And I know you have other issues, but I really hope, we've elected you, I hope you are going to protect us. That's all.
My name is Anne Marie Swanson. I live on Granger. I actually live 2 doors down from a group home, and the residents there are mentally challenged or older, and my husband grew up in the home we live in, and some of those residents have been there since he was little. I mean, he rode bikes with one of the residents. There's never been an issue. It's totally okay. I'm sure all these other people, know of other group homes in our area with people that qualify to live in a group home. And I'm perfectly fine with that group home. I've never felt like my kids were under any threat at all. I live on the corner. My kids, we just got a huge driveway poured 2 years ago. My kids ride their bikes out front. Now I'm literally locking my doors in the middle of the day so my 2-year-old can't ride his Power Wheels because I'm afraid for him to be outside alone. I've told my kids probably 75 times a day all week this week, you cannot be out front, you cannot be out front. Do not go in the front yard. I've made sure all my gates in my back are locked so they can't go in the front. I'm a runner. I run Granger Road. While that's dangerous in and of itself, now I will not run Granger Road. I'll have to run somewhere else. Today I ran in the town, right around here, because I'm too afraid to run over there. I shouldn't have to be afraid to go running. And so that's all I have to say.
Thank you for listening to us. Bill Ludwig, 133 South Sashable, just down the street from all of us. Father of 5, 3 grown girls, adopting 2 little ones, starting over again, 4 and 7. Had them for 4 years. This scares the crap out of me. Talked to both the state and Riley and Robertson today. They're both on board. They're both working on it. But a couple of things to ponder and think about. This was filed underneath the foster charter. How is this a foster home? There's got to be something we can do about that. This is clearly not a foster home. Second, this is a residential area. How did this get through and isn't it still a residential area, not a group home area? And it's technically commercial now, isn't it? With that being for money. A couple things to do.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Mike Lawrence. I live at 326 Behind. But there's nothing separating us but a picket fence in this home. And we have to go home tonight and have another sleepless night. And it's been a week, over a week, but it seems like forever. This needs to be shut down tonight. It's a dangerous situation. Something horrific is going to happen back there, then it's too late. No amount of litigation, no amount of I'm sorry is going to undo the damage. That's all I can say.
Hi, I'm Rick Givens. I live on Sashbach. I'd like to comment. You guys are all great speakers.
Speak to the board, please.
I just wanted to tell them they're all great speakers. Keep up the good fight. You'll win.
Would someone else like to speak? Yes, sir. Here.
my name is Mark Menino. I live across the street from 301 Sleepy Hollow. I'm appalled. My grandchildren cannot go out and play. This is absolutely unacceptable. How can you do this? How does it get into position anyway? Who approves all the licensing? Keith, who was the previous homeowner, said he was due. But I don't even want to terminology to describe him. He came with his child and his wife and said they were going to live there. He told Keith he was glad there was a playhouse in the backyard for his daughter to play in. My grandchildren will no longer go outside. They won't go on a trampoline. Can they have their friends come over? If it were your daughter or son, would you let them go over to visit their friends? That's all allowed. The sleepovers are all allowed. This is appalling. It cannot go on. We'll talk about next week, tomorrow, whatever. It has to stop now. You've got to understand our position. And as far as the home values, I personally don't care about the home values. I'll tell you that. And I hate to see somebody say, I'm going to move. We have a tremendous street with wonderful people who all care about our community. It's going right down the tubes. I don't feel safe. I live across the street from this house, and I can assure you, these guys are out wandering around. No security. Are you serious? The garage door is open all the time. Friday, there was one car there. I don't know how many are supposed to be there for each one of these individuals, but I can assure you there wasn't. There was one car there. It's not possible. Saturday, again, there was one car. I heard the guy drive away. What I'm thinking is, they're out partying, it's Saturday, and whoever is in charge with this one automobile, how many people can be there? They're outside smoking. I watch them, and I'll continue to watch them, and I assured my neighbors I'll be the security. And I do have a pistol. And that's terrible to even have to say. I've never had one in my life. It has to stop now. Not tomorrow, not next week, but now. My grandkids are home now with their grandfather. We can't leave them alone. I can't walk the dogs. We have 2 dogs. I take them out at 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't feel safe walking out with the dogs now. And it is true, they can see everything. All the bedrooms are in the top floor of that house. And again, this gentleman, and I use that term very loosely, has no right to have a license to do what he has done. We, as taxpayers, are supporting and do. Please, you've heard everybody here speaking. We all feel the same. We're all terrified. Our lives have changed. Help us now. Thank you.
I'm Michael Broadcord. I grew up in the house, and I think it's very unfair that people have to live like that. When I was growing up there, I was free to do whatever, you know, to hang out in the yard, go up and down the street, ride our bikes to Cooks. I mean, it's unreal that this was able to get past you guys, get past everyone else. And for them to find out by having to research it online without anyone letting them know what was going on is crazy. And on top of it, the fact that this guy lied to my parents about, oh, we're going to move in with a little girl that's going to play in the playhouse in the backyard, then turned around and lied to the neighbors saying, oh, no sex offenders are going to move in. It's just, it's unheard of. Something's got to be done. And now, on top of it all, My name is tied to that home. When you Google my name, it just says that I voted from there. So now I'm associated with these people. How's that going to affect my job prospects in the future? It's crazy.
I'm going to speak tonight as a township resident. I'm also the substation commander for Brandon Township. I've been off work on workman's comp for the past 2.5 weeks, and my phone has blown up every day, multiple times a day over this home. I can tell you that the sheriff's department was never notified of this group home. We have multiple group homes throughout this township, and we have problems in every one of them. The ones that house mentally challenged people, we have problems there, let alone a group home that houses the worst of the offenders. I worked undercover for almost 17 years. I have been in so many group homes I can't count as far as halfway houses. And there is no security in those houses. This is not set up like a jail cell. I don't care how many, what type of staff they have. They're two people, 3 people. There's not enough for this type of housing unit. Things can happen very quickly. I can tell you that I have rearrested more sexual sex offenders than I want to count. They do seem to repeat their crimes. And if you watch nationally some of the most major crimes that happen, often they are registered sex offenders repeating those offenses. So I think it was Mr. Ludwig mentioned that a state rep or somebody has to be contacted. Somewhere or other there has to be a stop to this. I've never seen in my 30 years a halfway house set up for registered sex offenders in this type of a setting, ever. And I don't know how this guy ever pushed this through. We cannot provide the type of security that needs to be on that street. It's impossible. But something needs to be done. Thank you.
Sorry. What can the Oakland Sheriff's Department do for us now that we know what's going on in this home? How can we patrol for the interim until we can?
We've already added extra patrols there, but what you have to realize is that this isn't the only house in this township. And I can't set a patrol car in front of that house. We have 2 cars, and most residents don't realize this, but on most nights, 6 out of 7 days a week, we have 2 cars on patrol per shift. Most of our calls require 2 patrol cars today. We can't provide the type of security at that house that needs to be for these residents. We can do extra patrols, but that's a drive-by and leave. So, and I'm telling you, these people are predators, in my opinion. They wait for their next victim. And the setting for these young girls, and it's not just little girls, it's little boys just as well. And throughout this township, we have enough issues with sex crimes, let alone putting the fox in the hen house, in my opinion.
I mean, a good. My name is Linda Owen. I'm here as a taxpayer. I was one of the people that were out there, 50 people, that were not allowed to come in. I have the petitions here that they signed. They're very upset. They want to voice their opinions. A lot of them left. I know a lot of you people on the board, we all moved out here because we felt safe to have our kids run around. Play in the backyard, ride our bikes. I don't think they can do that. You got grandkids. I know I wouldn't let my grandkids run around. Something's got to be done. We only have, like you said, 2 patrol cars. They can't take care of that. They got to take care of other things. We can't rely on them. There's got to be some kind of ordinance or something that you can pass. Maybe allowing 1 per house. I know I read that in the law. You guys got to do something because it's scary. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Margaret Green. I live at 450 Saddle Lane, and I invite you to come out and take a look at our neighborhood. You did that for the Bell Trail when we were, you came out and checked it all out. This is a really, to me, very unique neighborhood. 2 very short private roads. You come to the end of Sashbaugh heading south and you hit Granger. And our road says private road, not a through road. And you see 2 houses. Their house, our house. You turn left and you go up a short hill and you see 5 beautiful houses and a court. No one goes up there unless it's an accident or you live there. And the biggest, most beautiful yellow house is up there, and you look at that house now and you can't look at it in the same way. And I just want you to come over and take a look at our neighborhood, and I think you'll have, if you didn't get a good enough feel for it tonight, especially from our young folks who live there, just come over and see what we're living with, because none of us want to leave this community right now. And I grew up and lived in Flint, Michigan for 40 plus years of my life, and I loved every minute of that. But coming out here and owning horses, being able to be outside every single minute of the day, that is freedom. And no one has it right now. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to make a comment? And would someone be able to go outside to see if there are still people waiting so that we can have them in and maybe someone...
I don't think there are camping. We've asked if they want to speak about Sleepy Hollow, but there are people that do want to speak about Bell Ann when you get to that.
Okay, all right. Are there any other comments?
Donna Ferrara. I'm not going to address the audience because we're not supposed to do that. But for the audience's benefit, I want them to know that every one of you members on this board are also residents, taxpayers, your parents, and many of you are grandparents. And I know firsthand that you share a lot of these folks' concerns, and rightfully so. One thing I did want to clarify, as an almost 20-year member of the Planning Commission, the term group home has been used repeatedly tonight. As a planning commissioner, one of my responsibilities and jobs, as you're aware, is to help write, massage, and uphold ordinances to be presented to the Township Board for approval. When you look at our ordinance under group home and the spirit in which it was written, group home was intended, quote, fostering adults, foster care for children and or adults. There's different parameters. But at no time in our Brandon Township ordinance does the word criminal, pedophile, felon, parolee, pervert, these are not verbiage used in our ordinance. It's for the mentally challenged. It's for the physically disabled, the handicapped. What a lot of residents might not also know is in Brandon Township, surprisingly, we have just under 100 registered sex offenders. The difference is they live among us, they walk among us, they shop at Beaky's, they're your neighbors. A lot of people don't know this because they're filtered in the community as private citizens in homes. Going back to the spirit of our ordinance, group homes is legal. There's been a lot of remarks tonight about how could this happen in a residential area. Group homes are allowed in RE, which stands for rural estates, 2.5 minimum. But again, the reason this I think is such a hot issue is because these 86 registered sex offenders that are in Ortonville, that are in our midst, they're scattered, they're filtered among us. This is a concentrated area, and I realize, although the audience might realize it, this was not this board's doing. They were blindsided just like the rest of us. We do not supersede jurisdiction with the state of Michigan. There's a whole nother set of hoops that need to be, a criteria that needs to be satisfied at Michigan. So please, please do not blame any of our trustees and board members. They are just as upset and surprised by this as we all are. They're residents too. But that being said, I feel as a citizen that maybe we do need to take another look at our ordinance, and again, the spirit in which we wrote it, and it was intended for mentally, physically challenged, needy people. It's not a halfway house, and personally, since I was part of these ordinances, I'm offended by the term group home, because that certainly was not what we as a planning commission board intended for. So I know you guys will do the right thing. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in regard to Sleepy Hollow residents? Is there anyone that would, we will now start taking comments?
There's no one else outside for this topic.
All right, thank you. We'll start taking comments on other agenda items. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on an agenda item?
Is Cheryl on there?
Good evening. My name is Patty Salter.
Can you speak louder? Can we wait till people leave that are leaving and the other people
We'll
get
just
in?
take a couple minute break and then we'll reconvene, okay? So if people want to come in and people want to leave, then
Watch out for that. Yes, watch
Jamie, there's room in here.
How are you? I haven't seen you in
It's a long time. When I was a kid,
standing up there. Hello. Nice. How are you? This is like a whole week. I think people started my email has I know it. I'm glad I came. I'm loving it. I throw my coffee. Sorry. It's crazy. But that, that's what I did. I got my husband my report. It was awesome. Okay, good. Like, very concise.
All right, we're going to reconvene in just a few seconds here, so we need the board members back up. And then we'll postpone.
They should have
All right, at this time, we're going to reconvene, so we will take citizens' comments on other agenda items. So who would like to start?
I'll start. Patty will comment.
Oh, here she comes. I'll come.
Oh, Patty, are you ready? Okay.
Okay. You're fine.
Hello, good evening, board. This is Patty Salter. You have my email address. I'm here to talk about the Bell Ann purchase. Last week after the meeting on 4:30, I talked about the importance of doing an ROI to see what the benefit is to purchasing the property versus the expense to the taxpayers. Now I know the ROI, people weren't exactly sure what that was. I do this all the time at my work. So I went ahead and I did it based on the numbers I got from your packet. And according to the ROI then, I sent Kathy, and I don't know if Kathy gave it to the board, but over a 6-year period, the cost of this purchase will be $1,341,273. That includes the sales of the township office for $276,000, the sale of the Brandon substation for $125,000, and the sale of the senior center for $179,000. The annual savings that we'll find are $11,360 for a rent saving that we currently pay for OTV and for various school facilities. And we'll also have annual savings of $1,500 for off-site storage that we currently pay. Put that against the annual additional costs of $58,433 that is going to cost for all of the utilities, the lawn, and so on. So we'll have an increase of $58,000. As I was kind of going through the finances, the Mutrex, I think Mutrex is on your site, gave a number of the 2018 estimate fund equity to be estimated at $929,948. Currently, we have unfunded obligations for OPEB of $2,024,768, for the pension of $1,449,238, for a total unfunded obligation of $3,474,006. I couldn't find on the site exactly where our current fund equity amount is. There are some financials, but I really couldn't tell how much money the township has right now that's not spoken for annual expenses. The question I have is, if it's estimated that we have $929,948 in our equity fund, how can the township afford the $1.3 million cost for Bell Ann? And I know that, for example, tonight there wasn't a lot of room, but honestly, it doesn't happen all the time. It'd be nice. We can always go to the library or go to PAC, but I really feel that there's not sufficient savings and reasons to make this purchase. I think we can spend our money on other things. Thank you.
Cheryl Ball. You didn't know how I felt about it last week. You knew how I felt about it with my article in the paper this week. I just want to reiterate, it's not about whether this might be a great option, whether it's something you want or don't want. It has to do with money. I should have recorded what I said at the Trails meeting because I could have just replayed it again at this meeting. If we don't have the money, we can't do it. You only have, from what I could tell, because there's not a current balance sheet out there, although the library, who only has $1 million budget for the year, it shows a balance sheet every month. The township that has over $2 million budget evidently doesn't do one. But as Patty said, if you've got somewhere around $900,000 or whatever in your general fund and you're going to spend $1 million plus, even if you got the building for $1, it's going to cost you, over $1.3 million to do all the renovations and everything. Where's that money coming from? You can't raid your general fund. You're only at you're less than 50% right now. I mean, you need to have at least 50% in that just for rainy day stuff. I mean, that's recommended across the board for townships. The same questions that we'd like to hear some answers to is where's the money coming from? What is the balance in the general fund? What is the actual balance owed for the unfunded pension and other benefit liabilities? Do you know that? Do you have a current audit yet that tells you exactly where that is? You won't have that till June, is my understanding. I reviewed the estimates that were prepared by the construction companies. The estimate clearly stated that it's based on a brief field visit, that no designs were prepared for the estimate. It again states the estimate is not guaranteed and the final competitively bid construction contract award could vary significantly. So we're throwing all these numbers out, but we don't know what the real numbers would be. We don't know if it's $1.3 million or if it's $2.3 million. We really don't know. And the other key financial thing is, yes, there was a budget of the annual operating and the cost that was done, but you didn't do an estimated annual township operating budget to see how this project would impact your overall budget. There's not been a cash flow budget done. I did commercial lending for 30 years on projects that were multi-million-dollar projects and projects that were $150,000. Those things were done for every one of those projects before they could get financing. The trustees have a fiduciary responsibility to the citizens of this township. They must have all of the information before making a decision, especially how it would be funded. All I'm suggesting is that they gather and use the same information any commercial business would use in making this type of decision. And I beg you, please make the correct decision based on the limited information that you have. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Would someone else like to make a comment?
Okay. I'm Cindy Coach. It's difficult to get up. I'm Karen Seaman, and I'm an Ortonville resident. I really don't have a comment to make. I'm undecided about this project because I don't have enough information. So I'm just going to ask you for a piece of information. And that is, if we buy Bel-Air and we go through with the renovations, is that going to result in a millage increase for our township taxes? And if it will result in a millage increase, then what would that millage increase be? If you can't answer me tonight, then I hope that you'll wait a while before you make this decision.
Bill Radford. The first thing I want to say is I don't believe that we should sell the senior center. We as a community have worked for that center for many, many years. I was involved in that when it was still the Rhoda J. Hall. Candy, you know when that was. So. And I think that From what I heard last week, that sale of that entered a lot into some of the thinking that went into the possibility of buying the school. And again, I strongly would like to voice my objection to the sale of that. Furthermore, when I first heard of the idea of buying Bel Ann, I thought it was a great idea. And I did research, and I found municipalities across the country that had done exactly that. They were happy with it. But the one key thing I saw that I didn't see here in Grady Township was, number one, before they did anything, they formed an exploration committee of trustees, of community members who had expertise in this sort of thing, and presented that information to the community. I know that a lot of work went into the study that was done. I just wish that there had been a little more community involvement. That's all.
Thank you.
My name is Faye Bendig, and I'm representing quite a few seniors at the senior center. You guys received letters from the seniors, some of the seniors, not all of them, but a few. We are definitely opposed to, if you purchase Bel Ann, to moving the senior center. It's a home. It's a place where people are comfortable. We have our own library, we have a TV, we have a dining room, we have a living room where there's another TV. We have, it's homey, it's not looking like a school. It doesn't have, this room has a door, and this room has a door, and this room has a door. It's just where they've been for this many years, and they're comfortable. It's convenient for people who walk to the senior center. Had a trip, lady rode her scooter down, you know, because she lives right in town. She's handicapped, she has cerebral palsy, and there's a lot of people that walk to the senior center, ride their bikes, whatever. And as far as the purchase of Bel Ann, I just don't think that it's financially smart for right now. And as much as I know that there's, I've heard that some of the board is retiring after this year. And, those of you that are planning on staying, I seriously think that you need to listen to the citizens, because if you vote for it and all I've heard is negative, you're committing political suicide. I mean, that's just, you know, you're not doing what the citizens want. And I know that you guys want more room and stuff, but it's financially not feasible at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Someone else like to speak up?
Hi, I'm Gerard Schmidt, 2881 Clinton Hill. I'm here to talk about my 33 years here. I've had history with you. There's a past, there's a present, there's a future. Your past looks like this. You spent $1.4 million for the M15 property. You had interest, probably about $300,000. That's $1.7 million sitting there unused. You have unfunded liabilities of $3.2 million. I didn't think it was that high. If they're right, that's a huge number. That's the past. Sell the property, get your money back. If it's there, I don't think it is. Pay down the unfunded pension. That's a priority. Is there anyone that has worked with Brandon that wants to undo their pension because it's not funded? I think not. The present, Brandon Township has a static population. It's declining slightly last census. Your school system has 2 schools, too many. One you're trying to buy. Whether it's free or whether it's $500,000, I don't care. Whether the Overall purchase is $1.2 million, $1.7 million, and whatever other costs might be associated with that, it's too much. 40,000 square feet for a population of Brandon Township, that's 15,000 people. What is going on here? That increase in cost is a cost that none of us want to bear. The future, as in every business in the United States that's not in brick and mortar, you are putting your money into brick and mortar. It's the wrong bet. It's the wrong effort. Everyone that does business here in the United States, whether it's government, you name it, lower the cost, you have a winning hand. If you said that you were all about providing technology to lower cost, do it, because that lowers our taxes. I pay enough in taxes now. If you want to talk about being smart, there's a lot of townships nearby. Consolidate, put your efforts together, put your minds to it, and get it done. In a nutshell, you're doing the wrong thing. You're expanding cost, you're not reducing it. You should be lowering the tax burden on all of us. You, effectively, by the balance sheet, are broke. What are you doing spending more money? May do with what you have. Everyone that has a household does the same thing. They live within their means. If they don't have the money, they don't buy it. Your goal should be, from leaving this meeting, is to lower your cost, invest in technology, and find a way to do government cheaper. That's a winning hand. Thank you very much.
Hello, Melanie Nivell. I'm actually here, I'm on the Village Planning Commission, and I'm here basically to gather information and take notes, so at our next meeting I can kind of report what's happening. As you know, we are doing our master plan, and we have not discussed anything with you. We haven't, I don't know, sat down with you, received any information on possibly vacating the village, and that will tremendously affect the master plan and what we're going to do if several buildings in this little town become vacant. So I'm reaching out to you tonight to ask you to please, before you make any decision, could you meet with us or talk with some of us regarding your plans? Also, I heard, and I hope you discuss this later, that there was something regarding if you paid for a school liaison for 10 years, you receive the building free. I don't know if that's true. So I'm hoping that when you discuss things tonight, you will bring that out and let the public know. And again, can you hold off making any decisions until you give the courtesy of talking with the Planning Commission while we just get started on the master plan? I'd appreciate it. We would appreciate it. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to make a comment on this?
Hi, Mark Robinson. I live here in the village. One of the concerns, along with everyone else's concerns, one of my other additional concerns is what type of burden does this fall on to the village when this building and these other buildings become vacant? You know, what type of burden does the Ortonville Village itself, the taxpayers, what type of burden are they going to see from this as well? So, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Wayne Wills, 4 Church Street, Township taxpayer, and also a village taxpayer. A couple points, a couple of them have been brought up, but I'll accentuate them again. This room, this night, it was at maximum capacity and overflowing. What the village council has done in the past, and I think it was a wise move at the time, and I will advise you to perhaps consider doing this again in the future. Anytime you have a hot issue where you suspect that the attendance is going to be over capacity of 78 people, then by all means, you have the old town hall, which has a 99 capacity. You have the library, which has 92 capacity. You have the Performing Arts Center that has 700 capacity. You have conference rooms within the high school, other libraries in the school district that you can virtually get for practically for nothing. So, you know, this is a very, very valid thing to do. And to use this crowded venue as a reason for moving to a larger conference room once or twice a year is not very fiscally responsible. That's point number one. Number two, we have an artificial deadline that I understand that Plant Moran and the school district has placed on you, which leads me to think that you might be making a hasty decision. There have been some points that have been presented already, but you know, just because Plant Moran or the school district has a 90-day window and you're at the end of it, doesn't mean that you have to make a decision. The other item that was already mentioned again, but I'll reiterate it again, is that for 10 years, the taxpayers of Brandon Township and the village have paid off and accepted the burden of a potential 54-acre parcel on M15 due south of the high school that was on an ad hoc basis, before some of you were even on the board, 10 years ago, was to become a joint facility for the township facilities, the fire department. Now, this property was just paid off last fall. As one gentleman mentioned, it was about $1.7 million in interest. And now it's just sitting there. How has that been factored into your analysis? So, that being said, ponder those points because those are important points. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Berna Cole. I live on Hadley. I'm going to read my statement. It's simple. In 2017, after many months of research and thousands of dollars spent, the township trustees turned down an opportunity to provide the citizens with a bike trail, which would have been a major recreational benefit. The stated issue was money. Now, less than 1 year later, with far less research, the township trustees are again proposing a major expenditure for far less benefit to the residents. This project also includes major new ongoing expenses. Yet the financial picture has not changed. In fact, at the workshop last week, you had no answer to the amount of contingency or the unfunded obligation. I ask you, as a resident, to concentrate on developing a clear, understandable financial report format available to the public each month before the township meetings, and develop a contingency fund so that we can afford future opportunities. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mark Butsu, and I live at on Mill Street, 193 Mill. And in speaking with a lot of my neighbors over the past week or so, and just people that I know from the township also, I've not found not one person I've spoke with thought that purchasing LM is a great idea. Not one. And I think that is reflected in what I've heard so far. So I would urge you to really consider maybe looking into this or shelving it completely. But I think a lot of the taxpayers I know have at least told me it's not a great idea.
Luann, excuse me, Luann Mann. I live on Church Street. short, sweet, and I can get out of here so I can go have dinner. Each one of you hold your office or your position because you were elected by the people. I've listened to these people and other people speak tonight against this purchase. The township didn't have money to pursue trails or sewers, yet you're insisting on following by spending millions, and it will be millions, it will not just be $1 million, it will be a couple million, on a building. If any of you can sit there and with a clear conscience vote yes for this purchase, I think you need to consider resigning your position. Good night and thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tim Crane. I live 1440 Granger Road. I came up here to talk about the Bellland and the roads, and I know you've been flooded with emotions tonight, so I'm going to make it very short and sweet. If you find a way to afford to buy Bellland, that would be great. That means that would be some creative finances. Perhaps you should use those creative finances on fixing the roads and doing some other things. I know you haven't addressed the speeding signs, and that was yet to come. But I did bring up some information that I'll leave with you all to look at. There is information there talking about how road dust is a health hazard, and also talking about, as I came up here a year ago, talked about the top gravel that the road commission is putting on. There's a document there that I have dissected from about 140 pages. You can go look at it online. It's a federal government document, and it talks about the difference between filler gravel, which I believe that the township is purchasing, which has sand in it, and not a clay or a binding material. In the chloride, it talks about the preparation of the road, and it talks about the chloride. It recommends when the road is prepared and graded that the road then gets treated with water and not chloride just spread on there. So I read the information that's on the Brandon Township home site from Oakland County Road Commission. I read your article that was in the Citizen, and what it appears to me is that somebody is not educated or has been given all the facts from Oakland County Road Commission. So if you would, after you get some of these other concerns taken care of, maybe take a look at that, and we can talk about that next month. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
I'm Pete Geyer, 335 Church Street, and I'm against the purchase. And if you do, I'm against the senior center moving down there, because I was the only citizen that went on a tour of the building. And where you want to put the senior center, for my belief, it's going to be by the police department, and there's only the bathroom facilities would be for the police. We as senior citizens would have to walk halfway through the school to get to our restroom. So what sense does that make? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Would anyone else like to make a comment?
Again, Greg Glover, substation commander. Candy, thanks for all the work you've done on this. I'll speak on it just as a substation issue. I was a patrolman out here when our substation was in this building, and it was tiny. And then we moved across the street, and that substation was too small the day we moved into it. We have issues as far as the size of that building. We don't have showers in that building, which is almost impossible when you see, which is mind-boggling to me sometimes when you look at the conditions and some of the things my guys deal with when they should be able to shower before they go home. Also, we are not equipped for female officers. We have more female officers today than we've ever had in the 30 years that I've been here. I've had to put female officers so that they have their own privacy as far as a locker room. One locker was in a bathroom that we had to designate specifically for a female deputy. And after she transferred out, we had to convert half of our mop closet into a locker room. It's ridiculous. We don't have the space in that building. We're busting at the seams. Our locker room is tiny. we have outgrown that substation, and it's been something that should have been dealt with years ago. So again, moving to that facility, and I do like being in the village as far as location, but from time to time, we do have issues getting out of the village on high priority calls, especially when the kids are getting out of school. The sidewalks are packed, people are crossing the streets, and we're trying to go lights and sirens out of the village. So at times, it is an issue, and it's also an issue for the fire department. Me and Dave Quaps have talked about that quite often. So as far as that move for us, it is a win-win for our substation because of the space, because we are not equipped any longer, and just for one issue, just to handle a female officer. We don't have the room for it. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to make a comment on agenda items? Okay, seeing none, we do have our engineer here from HRC who has to leave. Is everyone okay if we invite him up here during public comment? And then if you have questions for him, you can go ahead and ask him, and then we'll move on to the meeting.
Thank you. I'll be brief. Jamie Burton with Hubbell, Roth & Clark. I don't think I've ever been here with this group of people, so thought I'd introduce myself. We're here this evening to give you a brief update in the next phase of the remediation of the old storage tank issue. We have some good news to talk about first. As every step we've taken as we've gone through this process, we are a step further and further away from having to do anything major. Further remediation that requires additional monitoring. Materials that were found were deteriorated by natural processes. Township Hall, the properties that we tested have all come back negative because vapor intrusion. We continuously check things off the box. And we've also taken away any kind of migration of materials from groundwater through the storm sewer system. So we keep going. But to delineate this, we need to go into the northwest part of Township Hall here and do 2 more monitoring areas, 2 more sites as outlined in our scope and proposal. So what I'd like you all to know is we got an email from the EQ that says we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. The timing is such that we keep moving the ball forward. And recall, we went this incremental approach, very methodical, stepwise, to try to do this at the lowest possible cost and to get the right information versus jumping into more expensive opportunities. So we're still on that track. So we're before you tonight to request phase 4 proposal of about $18,000 to continue to do this process. I'm thinking that a phase 5 might be required, but it'd be lower, and then a 6 would be the closeout. So I think we're getting closer, but we'll have to see what happens on the next set of monitoring wells. We're going to monitor all the wells again, let's make sure, and then get additional sampling as if we've determined where the groundwater plume has gone.
So if that's the case, when can we call this finished?
2019. I think 2018. I think you're into a lot. I think in 18 we talked about having like a summer, fall kind of. Here's where we're at. I think it's going to require some additional monitoring to show the continued deterioration. But we're done. I think we'll be done putting wells in the ground. We'll have an end. We'll have an end in sight. Maybe it's a 2-year monitoring period. Maybe it's a 1-year monitoring period. That's our ultimate goal, is to get to that point where we're just simply on a monitoring program. And we're not into continuously drilling new wells to figure out what is material in the facility.
Maybe not asking for an extension on this.
So the likelihood is yes. We followed through. We've been in contact with DEQ. Probably sometime after this round, we'll probably ask for a meeting with DEQ and supervisors to sit down, chat, see where we're at. As I mentioned this in the beginning of this whole process, if we continuously move forward and are forthright with what we're doing and deliberate with what we're doing, DEQ is going to give us the time to make it work. Okay? It's the folks that don't do that they're going after. So if you read the email, they're very thrilled with where we're at and where we're kind of headed moving forward. So I don't see an issue with an extension. I don't see any concerns really putting too much pressure on you guys to do something more than just continue this process moving forward.
Did anyone else have a question for Jamie?
No. Sounds good. Good news for Jamie.
All right, thank you. Okay, at this time, we will move to to the next item on our agenda, which are reports. First, we have a treasury report. We have a general ledger report. We have a designated and reconciliation report. Our building report is also closed. The recreation director put his report out in front of you. He was not able, he was on vacation last week and also sick, so he didn't get the packet. We also have an Edna Burton Senior Center report, and that brings us to trustees report. I think Scott, would you like to start?
Sure.
Yes, he did, thank you.
I missed that we had so many people in here. I did something, I've lived here for 22 years, and I finally went to the old mill and spent some time walking through that museum. And I met the people there, but I really highly recommend, if you haven't seen it, and this, I guess, is probably most people here, as I'm looking around, have probably seen it. For anyone who's watching this on TV, I'll mug for the cameras for 1 minute. Make an effort. It's free. It's on Saturdays, 10 to 2, and it's great. They have all these little vignettes, if you will, of different living in history. Second floor has all the major uniforms from the different wars that over the years. I was kind of really surprised. I'd stuck my head in there before in that first front room with the door slide open, and now, but it's much more than that, and it's really worth a visit. So, 22 years it took me, but now I'm sold.
You're a member.
Yeah, and I became a member too. That's right. Granger Road Committee met. We were there on Granger Road, kind of where one of the citizens was talking about the dust that happens every spring. Happens because of the grade, but they can't really chloride properly because there's still a lot of runoff. The road commission has decided, along with our road committee, that they're going to do a ditching project there, kind of similar to what happened up at Granger and Sashabaw roads, where if they can properly ditch the sides of Granger, they can get rid of a lot of the runoff of the water, so then they can properly chloride the road, because right now, even if they do chloride it properly, the water just washes it off. So that's the problem there. They're going to work on that. And then finally, just today, somebody also had asked if we'd seen this property that we purchased back in 2006. The answer is yes. We went out there today, went four-wheeling with the chief, and he took us back there and we drove all through it. It's a big lot. It's some 58 acres or so, I believe he said. There's a lot of land there already.
All right, thank you. Dana.
I just want to thank everybody for coming tonight. None of my committees have met, so I don't have much to report, but thank you for coming. Thank you.
No, Scott stole all my thunder. So I'm good, thanks.
All right, thank you. Chris?
One thing to report is a very successful planning commission meeting was held on April the 24th, and it was regarding new business, which is always good news for the township, as everyone knows, and it's involved with Taco Bell, and they're going to be building a Taco Bell right north of Genesis. Bob is laughing.
Because I love Taco Bell.
He loves Taco Bell.
It's almost like Mexican food.
On camera.
I know many people who were excited for Taco Bell, and I told them.
The bottom line is they gave us a very detailed presentation. If anyone wants a copy of it, please contact me. I'll be more than happy to give it, with some very interesting plan sites that the Planning Commission basically said, you know what, we kind of like some of this kind of stuff, but some of it we don't. They're going to come back with some new and better plans. This is probably the most fabulous Taco Bell that I've ever seen. That is not the one they're going to be building, however. They showed us that, and it was a really big tease. We found out it's going to be much plainer than that, and so we implored them, please, go back, and at the next hearing, come back with something close to this, because we really want that building to be every bit as aesthetically pleasing, architecturally pleasing, as its neighbor, Genesis, which is a fabulous looking building, and it's great looking for the community and for the township. So that's where we're at right now. Taco Bell said that they would, and we're waiting on future developments. But it's moving ahead. The owner was here. That's going to be building it. She owns several other Taco Bells throughout the state. I think it was like 10 or 12. I mean, this lady's loaded, pretty loaded. Yeah, she's loaded down. But anyways, that's that and that's that. So I'm done.
Okay.
If you guys want to take a look at some of this or whatever.
Maybe you could, let's just pass it down.
No, that's what we'd like it to look like. That's the teaser that they gave us. And they said, well, no, it's really, then they had a couple sketches of a more plain Jane one. To answer your question.
All right, thank you, Chris.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Treasurer's report.
That's all.
Well, since spring is finally here, it comes to our next busy season in the treasurer's office. Dog's tags are still available at the normal price until June 1st, and at that time they go to $33. And because it is that time of year, you won't see a whole lot of people in the office, but we're gearing up for the tax season, so we are very, very busy trying to prepare the tax bills, making sure that everything is correct before they go out. So all the behind the scenes stuff is going on, and we hope it'll be another smooth tax season. As always, if you have any questions at all, call our office.
Thank you. Clerk's report.
It's short. I didn't know anything about 301 Sleepy Hollow till Friday afternoon. Side swiped, so just so you know. Very concerning. As an elected township trustee of this board, I'm reminded that we have a duty to serve before self. The possible purchase of Bel Air deserves to have the same commitment and input from a subcommittee made up of township trustee board members, residents, and village council members as the Iron Bell Trail project had. Perhaps a town hall meeting is needed to interact with the public for more information, correct information. For this board to have personal feelings regarding our current location and statements that we don't have parking problems is not having open minds and work to find solutions to help all residents get the service they deserve. All 7 board members are here to serve all residents, not special interest groups. Senior citizens are scattered throughout 36 square miles, not 1 mile of the village limits. Try to think of everyone, please. Our local Oakland County Sheriff's Department needs the building I can't even say it. Renovated, sorry. With a rooftop AC unit and remove windows that have ACs for better security. They have a lot of issues in that building, and if someone were to get in through an air conditioner in the window, it could be a major problem. Lastly, I would hope that this board will move forward to negotiate with the school board for the cost and allow the new subcommittee, if appointed one, to investigate everything for the good of our community. On a second note, Brandon Groveland Youth Assistance is holding a Wojo's fundraiser in June, the first weekend. You'll get flyers in your Beaky bags as you shop there. There'll be articles in the newspaper. It's help send unprivileged, low-income children from our community to camp, which is a great asset. And lastly, next Tuesday, May 15th, Brandon Township and Groveland Township will be at the Brandon High School to register potential new voters. That's it.
Thank you, Candy. Okay, for the supervisor's report this evening, I'm going to just try to keep it fairly short. Oakland County has designated May as Mental Health Awareness Month. I want the trustees and everyone to know that the new OPEB actuarial presentation should be at our next meeting. They should have that completed for us. We probably will also get our audit back at the same time. I've ordered replacement signs for out front. The village is going to help us out with getting those. We made repairs to the safety path in front of the middle school. We still have some staining to do, but the rest of the repairs are finished. The road commission for Oakland County will be done with their first round of grading in the township on Wednesday, unless we have a weather event that prohibits us from finishing. They also have let me know that we need to replace a culvert on Granger Road where Kersley Creek crosses in 2020, and that project will cost the township approximately $200,000. So we have to start preparing for that. I attended an economic outlook luncheon on April 26th. The economic forecast for Oakland County looks great for the next 2 years. They are expecting job growth, wage increases, less unemployment, and more construction. They also predicted that the growth will be unsustainable, so they're saying after 2020, we might be in for a change to the growth, job growth. And then I just wanted to make a comment in regard to the Sleepy Hollow group home, that having up to 6 convicted sex offenders in a group home in the township is a serious concern for us. And I just want everyone to know that we're taking this very seriously, and I'm sure that everyone on the board is going to do whatever we can to have them move out, or whatever we can do to alleviate that problem. So that concludes my report, and we will move on to correspondence. Tonight for correspondence, we have Planning Commission meeting minutes of March 13, 2018, Zoning Board of Appeals meeting minutes of December 20th, 2017, May is Mental Health Awareness Month resolution, the Bell-Ann Subcommittee meeting minutes of March 29th, 2018, and also April 19th, 2018. And we have Road Improvement Subcommittee meeting minutes of April 24th, 2018. We've already done our citizens' comments on agenda items, so we can move right on to our consent agenda. On our consent agenda this evening, we've got regular meeting minutes of April 2nd, 2018, special meeting minutes of April 2nd, 2018, regular bills in the amount of $20,453.96, prepays in the amount of $536,789.03. Township benefits from payroll account of $34,673.96. With
the minutes have 2018 on or 17 on them. It says it in 18 on your agenda, but it says that it's here.
On which minutes? It says 18 on the agenda, so they just need to be amended to right here.
Okay.
So are you noting that?
It's already been fixed.
Okay, sorry. No.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any other comments on the consent agenda? Would someone like to make a motion to approve as presented?
So.
Support. I have a motion by trustee Marshall, and it is seconded by treasurer Darnell to approve the consent agenda as presented. And if there's no further discussion.
I just noticed that, otherwise I would have brought that up.
Roll call, please.
Marshall?
Yes.
Allen? Yes. Bratton?
Yes.
Darnell? Yes. DePalma?
Yes.
Cordova?
Yes.
Dermott?
Yes, motion carries unanimously. So next on our agenda is the Sleepy Hollow resolution. And what I wrote on here was, it has been brought to our attention that convicted sex offenders are and will be living in a group home at 301 Sleepy Hollow. Neighbors and other township residents are concerned for the safety of their families. They are asking the township to not allow this type of living arrangement to continue. Group homes are regulated by state law, and we cannot supersede state law with an ordinance or any other local regulations according to Public Act 218 of 1979. However, the township attorney and I are in the process of obtaining information that will allow us to determine if we can take steps to prohibit this type of living arrangement in Brandon Township. And again, we were not made aware of this situation until late last week. And we do not permit group homes in the township. So they come in and they do their things that are regulated by the state. So we, as a township, don't know what's going on until it's brought to our attention. So we have a suggested motion here. I don't know if you want to make a motion. It reads.
Is that worded by Stuart?
Yes.
Okay.
And I guess I just wanted to say that I had no clue. I hope the residents know and realize that we will do whatever we can. We didn't know about this. We wouldn't have, if we knew about it, we would have looked into it and have started the process. You know, we don't know who buys the homes and what they do unless they have to come to the township, and I guess they didn't have to, but maybe they needed to, I don't know. I guess I have a question to look into Act 110 of 2006, and I know everybody asked, can we do emergency ordinance? Can we pass something that says one per household tonight? Can we do an emergency zoning? Is there anything that we can do tonight besides just say that we're going to do all that we can to protect, besides what the motion says? Is there anything that we can do tonight to stop this, I'm asking? Because this says residential use of property in adult foster care facilities. It says they cannot have persons released or assigned to adult correctional institutes. So if that's what they're under, that they're a group home, then they're not supposed to have anybody who's come out of a correctional institute.
I'll answer that in a minute, but let's let everybody else talk first.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, one, this hit us Friday afternoon for those that had power, so some of us hit it even later. They're all gone now, but whoever, if they do bother watching.
Nope, they're not all gone.
Well, some of you do. I'm saying this for everyone that spoke tonight, so this is, again, for the cameras, I guess. We do relate to your problem. It's so tough to sit here, and we're the ones that are supposed to be able to fix these problems, and I'm not sure that we can. And I wish we could, and I wish there was a solution. I wish we could say we're going to do something here tonight. I do want to say, I heard some things tonight that I will never go out of my way to protect these people, but I will go out of my way to protect our own residents. And I heard some near vigilantism type talk, and I suggest we stay away from that, because that's not going to help anybody. We got to figure out how to take care of this legally. Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Let's let everybody else.
I want to
Did you want to say anything?
Nope, I got set it off.
Okay, how about down here?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt about it. Again, I was blindsided by this, mostly, probably more so than most, because I didn't have return of power until just recently. So I had no internet and no power. A couple things. I'm not sure we can do anything immediately about it, because the sheriff's department can't even take these people away because they're residents of the state. So county has no jurisdiction over them as a resident of the state. That doesn't mean we shouldn't pursue it, but for the people who want something done immediately, it's not going to happen. The state's not going to send correctional officers down and pick them up tonight and take them back to a correctional facility. For people that didn't see Lieutenant Glover's face, you may have saw it reflected in mine. I was seething. I was irritated by this beyond imagination when I first heard about it. Hearing everybody get up and make a statement about it, I was seething. And I watched the lieutenant's face, and we were on the same wavelength. I hate to speak for him, but I could see it all over his face. He was not a happy camper. I was a police officer for 32 years. I've taught criminal justice for 25 years. And from my experience, from my knowledge, the most motivated offender out there is a sexually motivated offender. They have the drive and they have the desire to continue on. The woman's no longer here that was talking about her brother. Sorry. That's been my experience over 40-some years total in law enforcement. They are the most driven offenders out there. I had a couple things, maybe I think some of them have already been answered. At what point did we find out about it?
Thursday?
Really?
So the building director, that was one of my questions. The building director had no clue what.
No, we knew there was a group home.
But you didn't know what type of home. Okay, so I've had that question asked me by many residents, and I want to be able to tell them, we knew it was a group home. I didn't even know it was a group. Well,
Can we look?
So that was my one question. And what I find really curious is because if you haven't heard of OTIS, that's an abbreviation, OTIS. It's Department of Corrections. And you go to OTIS and you can do a check on people that have a criminal record. And it will tell you not just what the sexual offenders list is, it'll tell you their total offenses. Concerning for me is the one offender that not only is escape risk, he's escaped once, let's look at him as escape risk, but also assaulting a police officer, unarmed robbery, and all that means is he may have taken, he took a punch at somebody, or it was armed robbery that knocked down to unarmed robbery in a plea deal. These are not one-time offenders. The two people that I looked up on OTIS today, they're repeat offenders. I am absolutely outraged that the state would allow this to happen. But as I was telling Trustee DePalma before the meeting, this goes back to Governor Granholm. She started the program. It goes back that far. Primarily, it was in 4 counties. Oakland County was not one of those counties. I think it's Genesee, Washtenaw, Wayne, I can't remember what the 4th one was. So it's been going on for a long time, it's just never impacted us. I did what research I could on it in the short amount of time I had today, but it was sort of limited. To address Trustee Broughton's comment, I understand the desire to do a citizen watch and a neighborhood watch, and I talked to some of you already, and to go about it unorganized and without some forethought into it, I don't want to stir emotions, but I am willing to help you organize and help you with possible training and ideas on how to do it, so you can have an effective neighborhood watch and not just something that, 2 people get together and they sit around and tell stories while the people across the street are walking around because you didn't notice them. So I'm offering that to you. I'm done.
Thank you. Andy or Chris, do you have any comments?
I just would like to reiterate what everyone else has said, that the bottom line is I didn't find out about it until I think me and Kathy were on the phone discussing something else on Friday afternoon. And, it really shocked me when I heard it was sex offenders that were going to be moving there. And I voiced that to Kathy, and I said, oh boy, I go, that's not good. And I go, I just figured that tonight would be the type of night that it was. And I fully expected you folks to be incredibly upset about it, as I was when I got the news. And incredibly upset about it from a standpoint of how the state can dictate to us, what we have to do. That's the appalling part. Why, Bob mentioned it goes all the way back to Jennifer Granholm, why our legislator in Lansing have allowed it to spread from 4 counties, obviously, to several other counties. And it's the whole thing is just, it's a nightmare. And I feel sorry for you folks that live near it, and you have my, deepest concerns, and I'm gonna do everything I can to try and work with the board to block this from happening, and to get rid of sex offenders. If they're gonna have to move all for mentally challenged and or physically challenged people, that's fine with me, but when it comes to sex offenders, no, I'm not for that, so.
I just wanted to say that my hearts go out especially to those children that got up to the podium, spoke from their heart. I cannot imagine the fear they're living in, as well as the parents and everyone in their families, extended families. They have to, it's a tough thing. I hope we can move something to the positive sooner than later. That's it.
Okay, Bob made a point about a Citizens Watch. I believe the Oakland County Sheriff's Office can help with organizing that if that's something that they want to do, and I think that would probably be a quick help for this situation. The other thing I wanted to point out to maybe help with Dana's question, under the Act 218 of 1979, as the legislative body of a city, village, or township in which an adult foster care facility is located may file a complaint with the department to have the facility's license denied or revoked pursuant to the procedures prescribed in this act and the rules promulgated under this act. The complaint shall specify those provisions of this act or the rules promulgated under this act with which the facility is not in compliance. So I think there were certain issues brought up tonight of whether or not this facility is in compliance. I have been in contact with the township attorney, also the attorney that the citizens have been speaking to. So we're all talking, trying to get through this and see if there's something here that we can make a complaint. And I think that this suggested motion will allow us to go further and just go ahead and do things without coming to the board and asking for permission each time we want to try to pursue getting things done. And just to know that we have the stamp of approval of the board to move forward and try to see if we can not have these sex offenders living there. So, yes.
I'm sorry to get all my stuff out to start with. This is a hard subject for me. I have been down that road. I have a daughter the same age as the people who live across the street, so I've known them since my daughter was 5. So I was almost in tears up here, and this is a hard subject for me. So I've been down that road. My daughter's been to the house across the street. I know these people. And so I do want to do anything that I can. I do not want to do anything that's illegal. So I am, I don't want us to do something tonight that's illegal that could come against us. I want to do whatever we can, and I want to make sure we do what's right. I know that Kathy's been in touch with the attorneys. I know that our House of Rep. Riley's been contacted, and our Senator Robertson's been contacted. I know that I've read everything that I could, and that's where I have questions of, aren't they in violation? Their sheets say they're not supposed to be with other felons. If you look at number 6 on their list of stuff, they are with other felons. That's why I feel like there's more that we can do sooner than later. And I don't mind, Kathy, if we pass this motion, but I hope every step that the township takes that you contact me, because I am in the schools, and so I know a lot of these parents, and I know I have a lot of parents coming to me because of that. And I actually knew it was going to be a group home back when it first found out it was going to be a group home from talking with Jen. But I did not know until late last week, too, the type of group home it turned into. And that's where I'm still questioning, have you talked to them about this Act 110 of 2006? This is not a county act, it's not our township, it's the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act. Do you have that one, Kathy? It says, except as otherwise provided in subsection 2, a state licensed residential facility should be considered a residential use of property for purpose of zoning. So yes, that means you can have adult foster care homes in residential areas. But it says, except provided in subsection 2. Subsection 2 reads, 1 does not apply to adult foster care facilities licensed by a state agency for care and treatment of persons released or assigned from adult correctional institutes.
And that is something that attorneys are discussing and are already aware of that.
Okay. And have they seen the sheets where it says that they cannot be associated with other felons?
I'm not sure.
Pardon me?
I said that, I'm not sure of.
If you need that, I have that information and I can pass it on.
Because this is a time-sensitive issue, I understand why you want kind of a rubber stamp to move forward. I'm comfortable with giving Stewart a rubber stamp to move forward. I'm not comfortable with just giving that to the supervisor without, his approval.
Well, it would be coming from him. I wouldn't go ahead and do something
Okay,
without.
we need to make that clear, because you're saying, because I'll come back here every night if we need to.
I will too.
We will too.
Yeah, I don't have a problem, Kathy, because I know you have the community
I just wanna
interest at
know-
heart, so I'm fine with it.
I don't have a problem with that either, because I know we're all
And the other thing
concerned.
too
I just
is
want to know what we decided.
If there's something that's going on, I will keep the board in the loop.
Yes, please, that's what I want.
I want to say again,
there's-
it's not that
there's something
I
that
don't
we're gonna
believe that you're going to do anything that wouldn't be in everyone's best interest, but you might do something wrong, and I don't think you need to say yes, we're going to rubber stamp everything you decide to do. And that's all I'm saying. I have faith in you, but we need to keep, and if I need to come back tomorrow night, the next night, we'll do it.
This is pretty much for if they're out of compliance, to go ahead and send a letter to the state or wherever we have to send the letter to.
Okay.
So you would be informed on that.
Okay.
If we have to do an ordinance or anything, that needs board approval no matter what.
Okay.
But we can do it quickly, though, if legally we can do it quickly.
Can we legally email the letter versus mail the letter, or have someone drive it over to wherever it needs to go? We're
Stewart.
talking Lansing.
Well,
Stewart would know about how
Well,
that
and
Just to make it move faster.
Can I ask a couple more things to make sure the attorneys are working on? The guy who owns this facility has he has held a gun up to a cop, so he has something against him. Can't that stop him from owning the home? Number 2, doesn't the state require the employees there to be trained? It doesn't sound like any are trained. These are different, so I want to make sure that the main questions that are on the residents, citizens' minds of what could be going wrong at this facility that our attorneys and Riley and Robertson are aware of. So those are 2 big ones. Is we don't know if that facility is truly got the right type of employees working at it, and we don't know if the guy shouldn't even own that type of facility, being that he has something against him. I'm sorry, I have notes and notes and notes. And maybe I'll just get some more to you.
Why don't you just share them, or you can.
Yeah, if there's anything else.
And
that
you
we
can
go
copy
through.
the board on all of your questions, and if the other board members have additional questions, they can send those to me as well.
But those are the major ones, I think.
All right, do we want to go ahead and make this motion? If so, who would like to make it?
We can't make a better motion to get rid of, to do something more
I'll make a
drastic.
motion.
I'll second.
Because it says legally.
As presented.
I know,
Do whatever is legally possible to enforce our zoning regulations and protect residents from state preemptive actions that are contrary to reasonable use of property in order to protect our residents.
Okay. Any questions? This was from the board. So this was something that the attorney and I came up with, just to let everyone know that we're going to try to do something as best we can.
Did you ask them if we could do something like an emergency ordinance to allow only one per household?
No, it's under the state, can't do that. State laws, ordinances.
Well, but if you look at some of those state
But they're
laws,
not
it
in
sounds like he's
compliance.
against the
Right,
state
so
laws.
that's-
Yeah, so that's what we're going to try to.
Okay, okay.
And
All right,
also-
You know, we might have answers?
I can't.
Okay, I'm just, I can't imagine how they feel, and I feel bad for them.
Okay, I have a motion by Clerk Allen and it is seconded by Trustee Broughton, excuse me, to do whatever is legally possible to enforce our zoning regulations and protect residents from state preemptive actions that are contrary to reasonable use of property in order to protect our residents. Okay.
One last thing, Kathy, before we go, just because we're on this topic. I know that some of the homeowners have engaged an attorney as well. They have our email, our township email. If you find something that we haven't found, send it to all of us. We can come back real fast.
Just to let you know, their attorney is in contact with myself and our attorney.
Okay.
Okay.
The license he's on is a temporary 6-month license,
We're aware of that.
so time is of the essence for that too.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to our next item of business, and that is the Bell-Ann property decision. So do you want to present that? You kind of did it.
I would actually like to propose a motion that we get a different committee that has more involvement from the village, from the residents, and do it like the Bell-Ann Trail was.
Seriously.
At least, yeah. There was a lot of time and energy put into the Iron Bell Trail, over a year.
But will the school district wait that long? And
That's
if they
not
have-
our problem, really. I don't.
Well, why do it? But I'm saying though, if the school's not gonna wait that long, why spend the time to do that? Why spend all the taxpayers?
Are you, just a minute, are you making a motion?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so what exactly is your motion again?
To form a subcommittee that entails township residents, village council, and this board, members of this board. The planning commission also. At least a representative.
Spend more money.
And we,
Yes.
After
Well,
that.
only if it gets supported. If it doesn't get supported, then no.
So you want to form a subcommittee that includes township,
Board and residents.
board and residents,
Village.
village board and residents, or village council and residents.
PC from both village and
discussion and stuff like that.
And the village and township PC. Okay, would anyone like to second this motion?
I will support that with discussion.
I'll start the discussion. No surprise. You know, people have been asking me for quite a while. This has been on our plate, if you will, for, I don't know, is it fair to say since October of last year? Okay. It's not a surprise. There's been a lot of talk. I've tried to, it probably doesn't seem like it, but I've tried to keep it open-minded. In other words, I didn't tell people how I was going to vote for sure. You know, I said, I need to hear more information, but we had our meeting last week where these numbers were finally officially presented not only to us, but to the public. And at some point, I'm going to take a stand, and I'm doing it tonight. I am a no to this project for the following reasons. One, the most important thing to me is pulling these buildings out of downtown. I'm concerned how it's going to affect the downtown area. I've said that all along. I've said that ever since we even started talking about this. People come down and pay their taxes. According to the treasurer, it's between 500 and 1,000 people come down every 6 months just to pay their taxes. It gets people to just look at what's going on down here, because otherwise they're out on M15, maybe the Beakies, and that's it. I like having the police station down here, if you call it the sheriff's substation, however you want to refer to it. It gives us a hometown feel. Even Greg told me tonight, I know that they want a better facility, but it's like an anchor to this whole area down here, having those guys down here, and having that building down here. We did a tour of that building today. I think short term, it's my understanding that they already have the funds in the police budget that we can be doing some upgrades to that current facility to at least get them some showers and to make sure that there's a proper private women's locker room. I think that can be done now. And then it comes down to the money, then it is the money. And it's just, it's way too much with some of the other debts that we have on our books right now.
Okay. Thank you. Who else would like to speak to this motion?
I do, but I can wait a little bit. I'm trying to make all my notes.
Okay.
Okay, well, here's the thing, that the reason I wanted to have some discussion on this, because it seems like this motion here should come after the motion that currently is before the board. Because the motion we have before the board is not to make the purchase. It's to find out what their bottom line is on the purchase price. So that's one of the numbers we've been trying to explore, and we only have what their initial asking price is. We don't have a price that they'd say, this is the absolute bottom line, this is what we take. We have an appraised value from our assessor on what the property's worth. So going forward with this prior to doing the other one, it seems a little putting the horse, I'm trying to do this, putting the horse before or after the cart. I mean, because we can do this
But you
after.
seconded the motion, so this is.
Right, because we wanted,
He wanted.
because I wanted to have a discussion about it.
Well, we did-
But I've
we
said,
had a discussion on those.
I've said that a dollar purchase price doesn't make any difference to me.
Well, I know you said that. I know you said that.
Okay. Anything else, Bob?
Not on this one.
Okay.
I have a lot on the next one.
Anyone else want to speak to this?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm not sure I could vote to form another committee and move on because we don't know from the school board if they're going to give us more time. So I don't want to commit to doing something when we could be spending taxpayer dollars to do something and the school not wait for us. I understand they have had a few other offers or they might have another plan out there. I would like to help support the school and try to help them. I know they're having difficult times. I would hate to see a charter come in, but I don't want to end up in the same predicament like the school where they have, you know, they had the land on Oakwood that they had to sell. They now have Bell Ann to sell. They had BFIS to sell. They have Sherman Court to sell. We have another piece of land. And I think it would be awesome to have a community center, a complex with everything. We've already spent a great deal of money to get that piece of land. I would like to see, because this doesn't include fire, that piece of land would include fire where we're all together. That was my first vision when BFIS went up. Couldn't we put fire in there and do there? Again, we're not a community to go there like we wanted to. And tonight we couldn't do the PAC tonight. It was too late of a notice. But I agree that when we do have a hot topic, like if we do have to meet again regarding Sleepy Hollow, we would probably make it somewhere bigger so everybody could attend. But do we need that all the time? I'm not too sure. I liked the adjustments about the 15,000 people but 40,000 square feet. So I don't know if we really need to continue to study more. Especially I think the school this week, they were going to give us more time.
Okay, I know, but you learned something today that we need to share with everybody about CDBG and the sheriff's. Okay. Okay.
What you talk about?
I'm the treasurer. I say no.
Okay.
Kathy, I definitely adamantly agree with, I don't know if adamantly is the right word, but I agree with Scott's point of views on this whole thing. I've been in agreement with Scott on this issue with regards to the purchase. I look at the numbers and you mentioned something that's really interesting, a $200,000 expense that we have coming up. And, you know, on top of, and maybe, and the seniors don't want to go there. And I'm really for the seniors. I think it's really comfortable. They're comfortable with where they're at. That is a big issue. And we just don't have the money to go for it. Someone mentioned something about increasing a millage. There is absolutely no way, and I will fight that tooth and nail. We are not increasing taxes in this township. We are the third highest community in this county, tax-wise, okay? That's outrageous. I mean, and I'm not voting for it, I'm no, and I'm gonna stay no. No matter what we can get that school for. Like, if someone said $1, that's $1 too much. It doesn't matter, I guess is the bottom line with me. Whatever we can get that school for, that's fine, but I'm also in line with Dana and her thoughts about reforming another committee and spending more time looking, kicking the can down the street. And Lord knows, we did enough of that with the Iron Belt Trail. And I'm just not, I don't have the stomach for it anymore. So I'm no.
Okay.
No, emphatically no.
Almost how you really think.
All right, I'll go over what notes I have. I visited the Bell School twice. The first time I went there, I was all excited because they have a brand new gym. And that would be so awesome to be able to have a gym with our recreation program. And then I thought there was a lot of other good uses for the building. It looked like we have a larger meeting room. But then we did another site visit, and the gym still looked good. But, excuse me, when you go down the hallway to the other part of the school, it just started looking like a money pit. The building's old. The classrooms aren't really set up for office space. There's small closets and whatever, but there's like maintenance equipment in so many of them that it would be really hard to reuse them. We looked at where the sheriff's office would go, and just the renovations just looked to me overwhelming. Not to say all of the bugs that were all over. But so anyways, I don't think also that if we were to make this financial investment in this building, we would ever see any return of it if we wanted to sell and get out of it. Also, we learned today that not only the senior center, but the substation was also purchased with CDBG funds. Which means we would have to repay them both back and not necessarily get all of the money to renovate for, we can't spend money for the police CDBG anymore. We can spend it for senior projects. So, yes, but so that is questionable on whether we would recuperate that money. For businesses to move into this building, I see that as an issue. The parking's not convenient. It would mean more remodeling and more costs. I see that when a repair comes up, when we have this building, say the roof on this building and the roof on the school are about the same age. But when the time comes up where we need a new roof, that's a way bigger roof than we have here. So just down the road, the repairs are going to be very costly. But the bottom line is I can't get past the additional maintenance costs that it's going to be over what we're already spending. I just don't think it's a wise investment, even though it does have a beautiful gym. So I'm hoping that if this gets denied, that we can make a deal with whoever moves in and maybe use some gym space.
Well, it's not just the maintenance costs, it's all our unknown costs too. The extra $70 a year to maintain it, but then it's the environmental cost that we don't know what's going to come up, and it's all those costs on the back too that we didn't know, and I don't want to do another millage. And, yeah.
I'd like to have a second go at that comment. No millage has ever been spoke of. The cable, the cable renovation and their portion of the building would be bought by cable dollars, as well as the police portion. They have the money. We have the money. According to our auditor, we're sitting on over $2 million that is not earmarked for anything. It's to do improvements, it's to do what we wish with it. And I'm not saying that there aren't other items coming up. I do think that we're never going to be able to expand here, ever. We cannot anywhere find any more parking spaces. I believe the whole entire downtown village has parking problems when the businesses are open and they have a sale or whatever it is, which I'm happy for the village. I am not wanting to leave the village for any reason other than we are outgrown this property. The police station is far too small. Last Friday, I talked to the DDA director, Matt Jenkins. They have been talking about it. They have a committee, and they've been talking about if we were to move out, they've already decided that they want this to be daycare. They would promote a daycare and or a maker's market, which he thought would be fabulous because it's by the park. It would actually enhance parking in downtown. For the police station, if we were to sell that, they're talking about a bed and breakfast, a small one. He said, we really do need a hotel somewhere in this community, and there isn't one. So I'm just letting you know what he said to me. He also said that Courtney was free to talk about it. She's on that committee. And just so you have some more facts, that's all I'm trying to do. Anyone else down here want to make another comment before we go?
Kind of. The information you presented about the funding for the sheriff's department just sort of pushed me a little bit just now. It's a hump I can't get over. There are some things that I would like to address, and I'm sure I'm going to be spitting in the wind here. So, I prepared it so you're going to read it. So I'm going to read it. The proposal in front of us is not whether to purchase Bell Ann School. It is a proposal to approach the school board and explore an asking price which may be within our means and payment options which may be advantageous to us. A yes vote now does not obligate us to a future purchase. To vote no at this time is to decline the opportunity without knowing an asking price or all the facts. That will be no different than going to a used car lot and never asking prices on the vehicles you're reviewing. It simply doesn't make sense. Opportunities do not arrive at our front door, always when we're prepared for them. Sometimes arrive at the most inopportune times, when money is tight, when we're least prepared for them to appear, or when we think the status quo is just fine. Those circumstances do not make opportunities any less of an opportunity. Opportunities seldom make a second appearance. I think ignoring the potential offered in this moment is short-sighted. Some have argued if we leave the village of Ortonville, we will somehow be abandoning the village, driving away business and traffic, and leaving an empty shell of a once thriving community. Although the village obviously lies within the township as a township board, our responsibilities are to the township as a whole and not to one particular area. There are currently no existing structures in the village that can be purchased for our needs. To my knowledge, there are no tracts of land which could be available for purchase, demolition, and a new construction that we could obtain for a potential sale price of the Bell Ann School. The number of empty storefronts or the number of short-lived new businesses in the village has more to do with other issues and less to do with the proximity to township offices within the village limits. I've heard outrage at the thought of purchasing Bell Ann School for the asking price of $500,000. I come from a long line of horse traders, and I never pay asking price for anything. It's just not in my DNA. I agree that the asking price of Bell Ann School is unreasonable. However, given the fair market value price set by the township assessor, the property value is below where the vast majority of single-family homes in the township currently are priced. I have checked current asking prices for residential homes in the township. Approximately 98% of them, of all those homes listed for sale in the township, have an asking price more than that which has been set for the appraised value of the Bell Ann School. I guarantee I will absolutely vote no on a purchase of Bell Ann School if the price is not consistent with the appraised value. However, to make a decision concerning the purchase without knowing an asking price seems to be operating outside of logic. I'm done.
Do we have any more discussion before we vote on the motion on the floor? The motion again is to form a subcommittee that includes township board and township residents, village council and village residents, which are township residents, and the village and township planning commissions. And that motion is by Clerk Allen and is seconded by Trustee Marshall. So all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay.
Nay.
So I've got 2 ayes and 5 nays. So the motion fails. Do we want to, does anyone want to make the motion that is suggested on the other side to move forward with plans to negotiate the purchase price of Bell School subject to an environmental study?
I support that as read.
Okay, so are you making the motion?
Yes.
Okay, would someone like to support? Support. I have a motion by Trustee Marshall, and it is seconded by Clerk Allen to move forward with plans to negotiate the purchase price of Bell School, subject to an environmental study. Is there any discussion on this motion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed signify by saying nay.
Nay.
So the motion fails.
Did you say that? I didn't hear you.
All right, so that concludes, so.
Kim,
we will-
thank
I
you
will-
for all the hard work
Yes.
on this.
Thank you.
I hope
I was happy
you
to.
still appreciate the work. You really do.
I felt it needed to be done.
And you did good.
We had to give the opportunity, so I really appreciate it.
Okay, we can move on to our next item of business, and that would be
It's gonna be just usual, that's it.
the underground storage tank remediation project.
Oh, no, man.
It is 10:15, so I don't blame them.
All right, we have a suggested motion to approve the proposed plan from HRC for closing out the underground storage tank remediation project as presented and increase the professional service line from $25,500 to $43,500 with funds from carry forward.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Too slow, Chris.
Okay.
Did you need to see that?
It was, it was made by Trustee DePalma and it was seconded by Treasurer Darnell.
I really wish you could speak up, because you didn't hear it either, did you?
I did.
Very difficult. Thank you.
That's why I said.
She just edged him out, just say it here.
Okay. That's fine.
Okay, is there any discussion?
Oh, okay.
Cross the line.
Is there any discussion, again, on this motion? Seeing no discussion on the motion, again, I have a motion by Trustee DePalma, and it is seconded by Treasurer Darnell to approve the proposed plan from HRC for closing out the underground storage tank remediation project as presented and increase the professional service line from $25,500 to $43,500 with funds coming from carry forward. Okay, let's do roll call, please.
DePalma,
Yes.
Cordella,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Broughton,
Yes.
Darnell,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes, motion carries unanimously. Next on the agenda, trustees' time sheets. Okay. Did everybody read what I wrote?
Yes.
Okay, so do we want to include the special meeting before our regular meeting and pay the trustees for 2 meetings? Do we want to include closed sessions within our regular meeting? Or do we just want to do it the way we've been doing it and just pay for 1 meeting?
Right.
Which is what we have done in the past, okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
What does the budget reflect when you budgeted for the trustees?
Well, we have money budgeted. And last year, we didn't go over budget, but I have no way of knowing exactly how many meetings are going to be claimed, so I don't think it's going to affect the
We've
budget.
never gone over budget, so
I don't.
I will say I personally think it should all be the same meeting, but I'm only one of four, because this affects 4 people.
Well, that's the way I've always done it.
I reported it one way, then I reported the other. It seems like I couldn't get it right, so I prefer to just keep it one meeting.
Well, if you look at my timesheets, on 326, they added in the 3540.
I know, that happened to me too.
And on the 430, the one that's coming up for this one that we're supposed to be approving, I did not put on 2 for 42. This is the way it's been on, that I've been on the board the whole time, so I know I have a little bit more of a history to, that's the way we've always just done it. I know if I come and I do a closed session, special meeting, and then I move into the regular meeting, it's one pay. It's the way I always looked at it, because I'm here. If during the day, though, I come in, and it's a different group that I'm meeting with, even if I meet before, let's say Retirement Oversight Committee meets right before this meeting, it's a different group, so then I feel it's 2 pays, because I'm meeting with a different group. But if I'm with you guys, I feel it's 1. But that's my opinion. There's 4 of us to decide, or 7 of us to decide.
And the only reason we do the special meeting for closed session before a regular meeting is just so we have audience members, they're just not sitting here with us gone.
For what it's worth, my thought on it is, every time I come in early, I have to pay somebody to take care of the horses and let them out and bring them in, that kind of thing. So it's an added expense to me if I come in early.
That's fair. I think that's a fair argument.
That's a good point.
I can see that. Sometimes I have to pay for an extra babysitter.
This might be a good time for me to insert a little bit of stuff, but we need to accept your timesheets filled out by you personally with a total and everything. So nobody is going to edit anything out of my department. That's not HR's job to fill in a time sheet to add them in. I'm just letting you guys know.
Does that happen a lot?
It's happened very much so, yes. So I'm asking that everybody complete your own timesheet with the amount and the total.
Well, I never included the post because I didn't think I was supposed to.
No, but it's very hard on, the HR's been given direction to not edit at all. Whatever she receives is what you're gonna get paid.
Well,
If you didn't do it correctly and you missed something, we can put it on the next timesheet. But her job is to double check you. Her job is to not finish your job filling out a timesheet.
I have a question.
I never
for you,
put them on
because
because
this
I
has
didn't know
happened
we
to
were
me in
going
the
to.
past,
Okay.
where I had a special meeting coming up or a meeting coming up after I actually submitted.
Right.
Do I go ahead and put that meeting on the timesheet? This is to be out, it's going to be prior to the end of the month?
I've wondered that one myself, Bob.
Well, it'd be great if you put it on if you care to.
Okay, all right. I wasn't sure how you
Or you turn
wanted
in
it.
your timesheet, you email me and Lisa and say, you know what, add this for us.
Okay,
Add this
all
for me, I'm saying now you owe me this much and this is the date.
Okay, all
Because
right.
there's no way for us to really truly check it.
Sure, no, I get it.
But we are there to double check you. We are not there to create your timesheets or edit them.
I
So,
understand that. I never
just asking.
expected to. I never included it because I didn't think it was going to get
I
added.
didn't know you were doing it either. So.
I thought in the past that's the way it was. If they were back to back, you got paid for one. If you came in at 10 o'clock and came back at 7, you got paid 2.
It depends on if it's a special meeting prior to our regular meeting.
That's what I meant,
You
back to
don't.
back.
No, you get paid one time.
Right. That's the way we've always done it, but.
Okay,
So-
so you gotta run this by me. I'm a simpleton. You gotta run it by me. So if there's a special meeting immediately before a regular meeting, we
Just
put it as one?
for closed session. The only reason we do it is just to have a closed session when it comes up necessary to have a closed session and they're like, okay, let's do it at your regular meeting because we know we're gonna have a board there.
Okay,
So instead of having it during our meeting.
Right.
Which we can put it right in there.
Right.
We do a special meeting to have the closed session so we can do it at 6 o'clock.
Right.
And that way the audience isn't sitting here with us gone.
Okay, so
But I
that's,
do
so
see what
that's
Bob does.
one meeting or is that 2 meetings?
Well, I
Okay,
could,
all
that
right,
would, if I put it in the regular meeting, it would just be one meeting.
Okay.
Right, but I
Because
can
we've
see
talked-
Bob's point though, we're having to come, well, you're trying to stop the residents from having to be here, but we're having to come earlier.
Well, you would be staying later.
till 10?
Yeah, you were gonna stay, you'd stay later.
Well, that's true, you'd stay later that night,
Right.
yeah.
Does this affect me, your decision?
But that would affect Bob if he didn't have to have someone come early, and he wouldn't have to do that.
I have horses too.
Hey, as long as I
feed
know.
them at 10 o'clock, and they're okay, I don't have them on the schedule.
Kathy,
Really?
Yeah.
Our recording secretary.
Shame on you.
Oh, they're fine.
My horses are always on
Because it
schedule.
affects her,
Yeah, most of them
Okay,
are.
would you like to see?
My dog is holding his
I just wanted to know if it would affect me as well, because when I come in for you guys to have a special meeting, that's 2 separate agendas, that's 2 separate meetings worth of work for me. So I've always, when there's 2
I don't even know how you
separate,
get paid, Courtney. Do you,
I
are you
get
paid
paid per
hourly?
meeting, I get paid per meeting, and then if I don't complete the
It's-
minutes during the meeting, then I get paid hourly afterwards to complete the minutes.
I think it's 2 for her.
So for me, when I come in, when you guys have a special meeting ahead of time, I sit in here by myself. But,
Shelby.
well, usually Shelby's here, it's true, and sometimes Pete. But then it's 2 separate agendas. It's 2 separate synopsis, it's 2 separate set of minutes
I think
for
for you
me.
it's 2
So
for us.
I just wanted
I don't
the
have a
opportunity
problem.
to bring that up if this decision would affect me.
No, because you're not a trustee.
Thank you.
So it's per meeting for you, which is what our,
Probably want to include that if you change any verbiage.
So can I make a motion to,
Well,
how do you want to do this?
well, I didn't know what to write down here, so we have to amend timesheets. We have to decide what we're doing, so we're gonna do it the way we've done it in the past.
Single payment.
So, we've already paid the timesheets for the last time. I would say just let them be, yep. And then for this month, take off that extra special meeting on,
Which is on Bob's, Scott's, and Chris's.
for the special meeting on 3/5.
No, on 4/2. You're looking
Oh, I'm
at this
looking
one
at
that
the
we've
wrong
already
one.
been
Okay,
paid. So
on 4/2.
everybody, mine's okay, and then Bob, Scott, and Chris's is wrong.
Here's my updated timesheet for Candy.
it's honestly for HR, but
Okay,
I'll
for
be
HR, I'm sorry. That's
happy to
right.
take it
That's
to her,
correct.
absolutely.
Will that work?
Yes, this will, yep. You could actually do it all on this one sheet if you'd like, initial it, or you can change it. That'd be great.
She's got mine correct. I don't have 4/2. I have 4/2
So
regular
it's
meetings,
just-
but I don't have the special. Yeah, it's just those. I was the one that she had it for.
So we could do this motion
Now I
to
do
approve
math.
the trustees' timesheets as amended.
I will make that motion to approve the trustees' timesheets as amended.
I'll support.
I have a motion by trustee Bratton and is seconded by clerk Allen to approve the trustees' timesheets as amended. Does this have to do with money, so we have to do a roll call?
Cordella,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Broughton,
Yes.
Darno,
Yes.
De Palma,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes, motion carries unanimously. Now we can go to the police millage.
Don't make me do math again.
Didn't we already, haven't we already approved this one already?
We discussed it in a meeting, but we haven't approved it.
It's big enough, huh?
Okay.
It's official size.
I still have to get an amount that from the assessor to put in here. So that would, it wouldn't be written to be determined.
When does this need to be in by then?
Till August.
So why don't we wait, because we haven't had our audit yet? The school thing is I had school on here.
So we want to post,
And then-
are you making a motion to postpone?
I'd like to make a motion to postpone it.
To
It's
what
not-
meeting?
When's it gotta be in by?
August.
Say July, just for safety's sake.
Well, yeah, 'cause I'd like to have our
Let's say
audit.
July.
Say that.
So I'd like to postpone this until our July meeting.
Second.
Done.
discussion?
Yep, go ahead and
What
start the
are we
discussion.
doing with this? I thought we already agreed on what we were gonna do. Why are we revisiting this?
Because it's gonna be over, Bed.
I'd like to see a real
We
number in there.
we
not
have
to
to,
be-
we have
Right,
to
that's what I was
approve the
thinking.
language. We had a discussion on it, but we didn't formally approve this.
Right. And
So
I'd
we
like to
have
have our
we have
audit,
to
I'd like
take
to have a
action
real number.
on approving the ballot language.
I'd like to make sure what Grady's needs are.
In 2019, right, and yes,
Oh.
2019, there won't be a millage. We have to give a new
So we have
millage.
to prove what's gonna be on the ballot.
Correct.
Just the
We
wording of the
We have to
language.
do something, but we still have a couple months, so let's wait.
All right, any other discussion?
Oh, I guess the question, it begs the question, what is gonna change?
The TBD,
Yes.
the actual.
We don't know what
money.
actual will be levied.
Even in July, it's gonna be an estimate, because this is for 2019 taxes that are collected December of 2019 that get spent in 2020. So,
Well,
yeah,
I also think it'd be
but
good.
we can put something in there.
Well, I think we should put something
In
there.
July.
I think it'd be good to have our audits just to make sure that we, where our funds stand, so we can project out. And then also, you know, there's been a lot of talk of 2 cars only, so, you know, is there a need for the police that we need to talk over with Greg? So I just think we should wait a little bit until we get the audit back and make sure we've had conversations of what we're looking at doing.
I agree, and maybe get that renovation done if he doesn't have enough funding for everything he needs.
Right, so that's why I think just to verify, shouldn't be
Gave me
deciding
the
future
short list.
years if we don't have last year done. Pardon me?
I was just saying, he gave me the short list of renovations,
Okay.
so.
No, I want to see it.
All right, any other discussion? I have a motion by trustee DePalma and is seconded by trustee Broughton to postpone this to the July meeting. Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 I didn't hear you.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Sorry, I was writing something. All right, next on the agenda is the obsolescence property litigation support.
I will make the motion to allocate $100 to the city of Escanaba towards its legal defense of the Menards tax tribunal appeal. $100, people.
Support.
Okay, and just to have some discussion, there are other townships donating $2,000. But just to give you an idea, I didn't know what to write in here. I threw in $100 because I figured there were 1,244 townships in Michigan. I know.
I also look at it as what we had to
So if
lose.
everyone donated
because-
$100, that would be a lot of money, and that does
Yeah.
not include what cities could donate as well.
We really only have one property that could possibly fit into this category anyways, in my opinion, right now. So if it was to happen, it would be the Dollar Store. As the other, the only one that I would see would end up trying to go to a dark store kind of assessment, so.
The dollar store up here? Or
No,
Dollar
Dollar
General?
General, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, personally, I don't think we're gonna be really affected
No.
by
But
it,
anyways.
but.
I don't think we are either, and I know some townships are doing nothing, so. I mean, it is our taxpayer dollars. so.
Showing support's a good thing.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, I have a motion by trustee Broughton and seconded by treasurer Darnell to allocate $100 to the city of Escanaba towards legal defense of the Menards Tax Tribunal appeal. There's no further discussion. Roll call, please.
Allen?
Yes.
Broughton?
Yes.
Darnell?
Yes.
DePalma?
Yes.
Cordella?
Yes.
Marshall?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes, motion carries unanimously. Now we're on the West Nile virus program. I clued everybody in that this was coming. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the resolution as presented?
I'll make that motion. Or whatever I'll do.
Okay, the motion is by DePalma. Who would like to second?
I did.
Okay.
I thought you called me at some point. Okay.
Always goes to the right, you know.
I must have better hearing over here. Okay, I have a motion by trustee DePalma and is seconded by clerk Allen to approve the Brandon Township West Nile Virus Fund Program 2018 resolution as presented. And we need to do a roll call, please.
Broughton?
Yes.
Darnall?
Yes.
DePalma?
Yes.
Cordella?
Yes.
Marshall?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes. Okay, now we can move on to the fireworks.
I'll make that motion to contribute $1,000 from public relations to 101944754.000 to the Friends of Amos to help pay for the 2018 fireworks display.
You know, I think the folks on the left side of me are just slow.
Oh,
Actually,
nice.
I don't know what to say, but I want to say, Kathy didn't ask for a motion yet.
It's more like comfortably numb.
I already supervised the vote, so I
Supervisor
already
Thurman.
She offered a.
I was gonna actually tell you guys a couple things about this too,
Okay.
really very quickly, because I'm just as tired as the rest of you.
Okay.
Let me get up. I promise really fast as soon as I can get there.
On behalf of the.
On behalf of the DDA, as you can see, it's my name on the request form. I just wanted to let you guys know that we're hoping to be able to do roughly $5,000 more worth of fireworks this year over last year. We've already hit collection-wise what we collected last year. So I'm hoping to keep going with that. And also, so that you guys know, we have a lot of fun things in store, including food trucks. And hopefully, crossing my fingers, some sort of little kids zone type area as well. So,
Where would you do all that
we're undecided yet. We're still working with the fire chief and the food trucks.
at? I'm just curious.
How did you already hit your numbers? Did you get into some other big donations that you didn't expect?
Well, I'm on the committee this year, and I've been working my butt off.
Okay.
There are several sponsors who have come back and sponsored more than they have in the past, including I believe the Lions Club upped their donation. In recent years, the village has upped their donation as well. So, but we also have a few new business sponsors.
I think having it closer to the 4th of July is a huge plus, and I think people will pay the money.
We are unfortunately at the mercy of the company that we work with. So that's why in years past it's been
Do you know who it is?
Wolverine.
Oh, yeah, we've had them forever.
So this year we had a couple of dates that we were able to choose from, and some of them were not so palatable into June. And so we figured the Saturday after the 4th, hopefully everybody will be back in town. It's a Saturday night, and so we've got a lot of big plans for this year.
When is the rain date?
That's a really good question that I don't know. I know I'm sure we have one. I don't think it's anything I've directly discussed with Matt Jenkins. And
Typically, it's usually the day after because
Right.
they're in town or.
Can you let us know, because a lot of times they call offices asking about that.
I will certainly let you know. I'll find out. Actually, I have a meeting for DDA volunteers tomorrow morning with Matt Jenkins, so I'll ask him tomorrow morning and let you guys know. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have a motion by trustee DePalma and it is seconded by trustee Broughton to contribute $1,000 from public relations 101-944-754-000 to the Friends of Amos to help pay for the 2018 fireworks display. Is there any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Darnall?
Yes.
DePalma?
Yes.
Cordella?
Yes.
Marshall?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes.
Broughton?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes, motion carries unanimously. Tri-party funds. This is a same thing we did for the last couple of years, to transfer $30,000 to Tri-Party Committed. It's already in our budget that way, so that we could save for the Sashbaugh Road paving project. Also, we're looking to spend $20,000 from the road repairs, which is also budgeted for gravel. And that would go to the projects that was just in this proposal. They want to repair at Linda K on on Kent Road. We have a bad spot there that has created a lot of problems, so they want to dig it all out pretty.
They're going to
pretty
smooth
deep.
out the hill is
And
what
they
they're
wanted
going to do.
to, yeah, and smooth out the hill, and they wanted to make some kind of like weeping tile or something so the water wouldn't pump up.
When do they want to do that?
Who is Tri-Party? Tri-Party involves the Road Commission, Brandon Township, and Oakland County.
When do they want to do the Kent and then the K project?
This year.
So can I let people know there or no, not yet?
They couldn't say for sure, but they were saying like now.
I think they're working on it now. I think there's-
Agree. You can tell them that it's scheduled.
Yes.
Okay, so I can
But
let
soon
someone know.
is the
Okay.
correct answer, because right after that, then they're going to work on the Granger ditching right after that.
And then what about starting to save for that culvert that you were talking about, that was $200,000?
In 2020.
Okay, so we'll have some more time to still save for that even if
Yeah,
we move this.
just
Okay.
bring it to your attention.
Okay, I just want to check on that.
And then we wanted to spend the rest of it on the gravel to continue on Hummer Lake. We started the year before last, putting gravel down from town, and then we made it as far as Sashbaugh. Is that what we did?
Well, I didn't know we made it that far.
I think we did. So now we're going from Sashbaugh to Baldwin.
I'd like to make a motion to transfer $30,000 to Tri-Party Committed for the 2019 Sashbaugh Road paving project and spend up to $20,000 from road repairs for gravel projects.
I'll support.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion on this? All right, I have a motion by Clerk Allen and is seconded by Trustee DePalma to transfer $30,000 to Tri-Party Committed to 50006994464 for the 2019 Sashbaugh Road paving project and spend up to $20,000 from road repairs 10146477900 for gravel projects. I didn't specify the projects purposely in the motion because sometimes things with the road commission change due to lack of equipment or something, who knows, so.
Will you notify us
If
there's
it's
a
different
change?
than this, I
Okay.
will notify you, yes.
That'd be great.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor, any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call please.
DePalma.
Yes.
Cordella.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Broughton.
Yes.
Darnall.
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes, motion carries unanimously. Speed limit signs.
I think this is a little premature.
I think so too.
Can we
And
just-
I know
can
we
make a motion
discussed
to
it, but.
postpone it?
Yes.
Make a
until
motion to
fall.
postpone this proposal as presented, I guess I'll say it that way. Just to postpone it.
Okay, but usually when we postpone, we say till when, but here's.
Until we get the speed study, I think is what it comes down to. Right?
Or the end of the year, whichever, I mean, if we get the speed study, then we're just going to pay for it, we can pay for it out of, if we buy signs, we can pay for it out of carry forward instead of sending it to designated.
Right.
And then if the speed study does not get done and we're not buying signs, then we'll do this at a later date.
Okay.
So we can postpone to a later date, a later meeting if necessary.
That's fine too, I'll say that.
No one seconded that yet.
Second.
Oh, Kristen.
Well, there was a fight down here.
We're at the finish line.
All right, I have a motion by trustee Broughton and it is seconded by trustee Cordella to postpone this motion to a later meeting if necessary. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously. So we're done with that one. Senior auxiliary bylaws.
Clerk, well, I'll start out by telling you that the supervisor requested the bylaws be corrected and brought to us. So, in saying that, we got them. They did not send any changes with it. They just gave them to us. Today, I ran through it to see what the changes were. In Article 1 on the first page, they added the whole entire last sentence. In addition to anyone who is a member and regularly attends the center and is 50 years of age or over is eligible to hold an office on the auxiliary board.
So pretty much that's saying they don't have to live around here.
Correct.
Do we agree with that?
Well, it says anyone.
You would know more about it than I do.
Right above it, though, it says over residing in Brandon Township, Groveland.
But they're adding this second clause to say, hey, you don't really have to live here anymore.
Yeah. They do actually have people who come regularly from Davidson area and Clarkston and.
I'm relying on your judgment. Do you agree with that, this added statement?
Yeah, I think the more
Okay.
people go use the center, the better.
Okay.
I don't care where they live.
Well, this isn't about using, this is about them
I mean,
holding office.
seriously.
Right, but if they're gonna use it all the time, because they have to be a regular attendee.
Right. We don't transport them on our smart buses, but for them to come and enjoy what we have, I think is great. They might not be in an area where they live,
But they don't.
that they could go to a center.
I agree.
I have one typo correction.
Oh, yeah, well, that would be from out,
Okay.
which one is it?
It's on page 5,
Your
section.
pages are numbered?
Section 4, but I can count to 5.
Section 4, I got
Section
it.
4, under G,
Okay.
says if more than one candidate I nominated, is that supposed to be
Is
or
nominated.
one in parentheses as it is 2 paragraphs down?
I will say is, I'm sure, and I'll ask
Because
Jay.
it's also one nominated, yeah, so I'm not sure which it is. Is it a one or is it a his?
If more than one candidate should
It's
be
is.
is
It is,
nominated.
because you already got the one spelled out.
Yeah, it's is.
Okay, so it's not like that.
This one, under I, if there was only one nomination,
Yeah.
that's perfect.
Okay, all right.
Oh, if only one nomination
Right.
for a position for the senior
So is
center,
it
and no
supposed
other
to say
person is nominated.
one
Yep, that's fine.
nomination?
So is it
Is.
one in
No.
parentheses or is it is?
No, it's is, because otherwise it'd
Under
be,
G.
if more than one candidate, one nominated.
Which
One, well, it says one kind of candidate,
Say
one.
One.
Enumerating it out, same thing they did down
It
at
should-
I.
But the
Yeah.
one.
But the
should
one
be
isn't by
rated
the number
one.
one though, so it's is.
In theory, you could put the one in parentheses and is, and then you're all set. I'm not kidding,
More
I'm
than
serious.
one-
Yeah, I know, I
The
know.
auxiliary board is sitting here, by the way. Mr.
Or
And
you
he doesn't
have-
have a copy.
Or you have,
What is it?
Okay.
is.
Is, all right. Make a decision, stick with it.
Right. It needs an is.
Okay, let's go on.
All right, so on the second page, we'll go back to officers and their duties. The change was, it used to be 4. They had 4 trustees in the very last paragraph, or last end of the sentence, sorry. Now they've reduced it to 3 trustees, which gives them a board of 7 versus 8. I think
Which
that's
is
a
good.
good plan.
Mhm.
Okay, next page over, Article 4, election of officers. Last sentence, there will be an election every year for a trustee position. Every other year, there will be an election for 2 trustees. It used to be, let me just read it verbatim, which is the same exact thing. It used to be, last sentence, every 2 years, 2 trustees will be elected for a 2-year term. And now they're changing it up to, every other year, there will be an election for 2 trustees.
But then
So they're
every-
rotating their 3 trustees.
So one comes new every year and the other ones come new every 2 years.
Yes.
So someone gets to be on for 2 years and someone gets, which is fine, because some people might not want to commit to 2 years.
Correct.
Yeah, if you guys are okay, I'm okay.
I'm good with
Yeah,
it.
I don't mind that.
And then second to the last page, down at the bottom, under section 5, they added the very last sentence, was not there before, and now this does not apply when the senior center is rented. It's discussing the program developer shall be responsible for the building during scheduled.
Oh, cleanups.
Yes, the cleanup and setup.
Yep.
That's up to Annette. But when people are renting the building out for the weekend, she doesn't have to schedule the setup, cleanup.
Do they charge a deposit?
Correct,
And they don't, and they
$75.
withhold it if it's not cleaned up?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
sounds good.
Plus, we get $75 for the rental itself.
Okay.
So it's a moneymaker. Those are the only corrections.
So are you making the motion?
Wait a minute, I have something.
Oh, no.
Back to the mission statement, the second sentence to the end of the paragraph. Funds shall be dispersed as agreed upon by the board. I think it should say auxiliary board because we don't want it to get confused with any other board.
I'm sure they'll be happy to make that correction. I'm going to speak. Would you like to think that they will?
Yeah.
It just
I'll
says
say.
board, which we could all think that's us and not you guys as board. Anything else?
So would someone like to make a motion to approve the Brandon Senior Auxiliary Board Constitution and Bylaws revised April 2018 as amended?
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Thank you.
I have a motion by Clerk Allen and a seconded by Trustee Marshall to approve the Brandon Senior Auxiliary Board Constitution and Bylaws revised April 2018 as amended. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously. All right, so that finishes our business. At this time, we will take citizens' comments.
I have one.
Okay.
I'm glad to see the board do something about this Sleepy Hollow thing. And I also agree with Trustee Broughton. Hopefully, none of these residents out there play vigilante and use their guns on one of these people. The last thing those kids need is their father or mother sitting in prison.
Thank you. Shelby, would you like to say anything?
She wants
If
to
you
say
have any
goodbye.
printable updates for Sleepy Hollow before we go to print Thursday morning, could you send them to us? That's about it.
Thank you for staying the length of the meeting.
Well, you paid to,
Okay.
so.
Hope it's overtime. All right, with no other public comments, we have time for board comments. So let's see, we'll start down on this side.
All right. Just if you can get us information as quickly as possible from Stuart and what develops at Sleepy Hollow.
I agree with that. The sooner we move, the better.
I don't have any comments.
I agree on the Sleepy Hollow, and I did forget one thing that I attended. I attended the BGYA Youth Awards, and it's always such a nice event, and I just wanted to congratulate all the students out, or all the children out there, because they're all students too, on their award, and that was it.
Okay, great.
I agree. I did get to talk to Candy about BGY. That is a special thing, and another thing that Candy spends a lot of time on, because those signatures collected from governor through state senator, through state rep, through U.S. rep, and then all the Oakland County folks. It's a lot of work, and it can make a difference on some kids' lives. So I'm going to thank Candy twice, and I'm going to thank her again for all the work she put in on Bellingham.
Good job,
Thank you.
People keep you around.
I'm glad to do it.
All right. Now that we're done thanking Candy, we can adjourn our meeting, right?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Who seconded?
It was DePalma, I know.
Second.
She moved.
She moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Okay, we're done. By De Palma, seconded by Cordella. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Meeting's adjourned.